Hey guys, welcome back. This is a story about what if Naruto went to the world of One Piece. Naruto's age has passed him by as his time is over. Now he attempts to seek out a place for himself in the new world, and it's bigger than he ever figured it to be. Will be epic in length. Before we start, thank you for all of the support, it really means a lot to me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and leave a like. You can suggest a Naruto fanfiction with a link in the comments if you want me to read it. And check the description for the creator of this great fanfic and support them for making this fanfic. So let's start. Chapter 22. Water under the bridge. Doflamingo. Wasting my time, Garp said to himself as he stood in front of a rather large marine ship, with all of his men giving him a rather wide berth. He said that the Uzumaki Naruto kid that has Sengoku gnashing his teeth would be out here soon. He punched his fist into his palm. It's been days. He isn't here. He saw two young marines coming up to him. Kobe, Helmeppo, do you have anything on an Uzumaki Naruto from around town? Both stopped in front of Garp and saluted as Kobe spoke. No sir, nothing. No one matching any description of Uzumaki Naruto at all. Garp said again. I wanted to take that bastard down myself. There's something about that guy that seems like he could be a threat. He already kidnapped the princess of Alabasta and he's a rookie, just like my grandson. Apparently they're accomplices as well. Meanwhile nearby, Soren and Naruto stood crouched stealthily atop a rooftop with a pair of binoculars for each man as they looked at the ship planning to disembark. So this is the hero of the last era. Monkey D. Garp. Soren nodded. Not that Naruto could see it from how he was looking. Garp was walking around flanked by two young men, one in a marine outfit with pink hair, a scar on his forehead, and glees placed on his forehead. The other was blonde, wearing a white long-sleeved shirt with a green sweater vest and purple pants. Yep. And it looks like he's leaving. Thank God, because 3 days of not getting drunk or going where I wanted to in this town was getting irksome. Naruto smirked as he kept looking through his binoculars. Amen brother. But it's alright now, because he's gone and I can officially act a nuisance again. Naruto held up his hand that was quickly slapped in a high five by Soren, and that's our good luck bad luck exchange for the time being. You got your whipped by Doflamingo. Naruto ignored Soren's angry growl at being reminded of his defeat, and in return we dodge having to fight a hero that you seem somewhat scared of. You don't even know who that guy was. Uzumaki. Soren said, not disagreeing with Naruto's statement of saying that he was somewhat afraid to fight Garp. That man is a monster. He could be the fleet admiral of entire marine force if he wanted to be, I'm sure of it. Naruto watched Garp and his two young trainees board the ship as the crew began making preparations to leave Water 7. I'll take your word for it. You know more about the world at large than I do. A grin came to Naruto's face as the shouts of marines preparing to leave rang out. So many strong people in the world, and I'm going to take my spot at the top. I have to. Soren nodded contently. Good. You're starting to take my advice sometimes. I was wondering if you were just asking me stuff so that you could figure exactly the opposite of what you wanted to do. Now what's going down with the ship? Naruto and Soren stowed the binoculars away and stood up, stretching their legs from being crouched down for so long. Alright, so check it out. The entire deck needs to be redone. The masts need to be relayered because of all of the damage we do to it. The nicks and dents in the walls and railings need to be fixed up. Our hull is actually in great shape. We never take any damage to the hull. So how long are we going to be here? Soren asked Naruto. I'm in no real rush and I don't think you are either, but having a timetable helps me stay calm most of the time. Naruto shook his head. I don't know. Stanley checked the exterior yesterday and gave me a rundown of what he was going to do to fix it up. Today is supposed to be the interior, like our rooms and stuff. Rooms? Soren said with a laugh. What about them? We have a marine ship Uzumaki. We have 6 times the rooms that we need. Do we really need to do anything with them? Naruto rolled his eyes. Duh. What are we going to do with that many empty useless rooms? Or keeping a few, but the rest are going to be turned into something cool. Like a dojo so that we don't have to tear up the deck unless we feel like getting fresh air. Soren said as he actually started thinking about it. Okay, that sounds cool to me. Can we afford it? Naruto grinned at his bald ally. Of course we can afford it. Between the money we were given for helping Alabasta, and the money I got when I first started sailing with Nami-chan, we have more than enough. I was always thrifty with our funds. Why do you think I just handed over 1 million so easily to Murat? Soren grinned as he thought up his retort, because you think with your and it was pointed right at wow Dr. Lady. Wallet be Ed. You're a funny guy. Naruto said with a dry look. Why don't you go find the chick with the sword that you kept taking it easy on? What's her name again? He asked, grinning again when he got a rise out of Soren. I am not into the Tashigi woman Uzumaki. I just want to see if I can change someone's point of view in the world to something a little less black and white. Soren said, trying to defend himself as far as his last few encounters with said swordswoman went. Naruto looked ahead as the two kept roof hopping in order to get back to their current base of operations. Whatever you have to tell yourself, Soren, I'm not going to judge you. Natural disaster Scrap Island. Nojiko took the initiative and finished leading the shipwright that Naruto and Bibi had conscripted into helping them with their ship, and that's everything. She said with a sigh, signifying that she was happy to be finished with the tour of the ship. It's really pretty Spartan around here. We don't go much for anything lavish. Naruto-kun usually destroys any town where we can hang out and buy stuff. Accidentally of course, but still. Stanley was writing down his observations in a notepad, so he's Uzumaki Naruto is he. The seed of war. Nojiko nervously nodded her head as her right hand slowly drifted for one of the pistols around her waist in case he wanted to make an issue of it. Calm down L, I'm not going to start a fight over something like this. I do plenty o work for pirates and her boyfriend seems like a good person, high bounty or not. Nojiko raised a delicate eyebrow as she moved her hand from her guns. How did you know that Naruto-kun and I were together? I don't think I was that obvious with it. Stanley smirked. But you were. When we walked about this ship of yours you stopped at everyone's door except 2 rooms that belonged to you and him. You went right into the captain's room as if you were walking into the common area. You must be quite comfortable there L. Blushing at his insinuation, Nojiko tried redirecting the conversation. Well, Naruto-kun isn't back yet and you're done with your evaluation of the ship. Do you have anything that you want me to tell him or inform him of when he gets back? Stanley exited the ship and threw a wave back at Nojiko. No, that won't be necessary. Just tell Mr. Uzumaki to come back to and talk to me when he gets a chance. I still have things I want to work into the schematics of the ship. I'll see if there's anything in particular he wants. He then started snickering. I wonder if I can sell the soundproofing process on him for his room. For the lady's benefit. Nojiko watched the raucously laughing man leave with a twitching eye. You are so lucky that I can't shoot you or I'd be a hypocrite. She muttered to herself before moving to a couch in the common area and taking a seat, looking at the log pose on her wrist. 1 week at least before we can leave. It Uzumaki, I hate that move. Chill out. It was either use Haration or we run all the way back. Garp isn't far away enough for us to be heightening our profile yet. Nojiko got up and walked into Naruto's room to see both Naruto and Soren standing there, one with a rather disgruntled look on his face, the other smiling at her before he walked over and gave her a kiss. Oh Noji-chan. What's going on? Nojiko smiled and pointed her thumb. You just missed Stanley. He finished checking over the ship and said for you to drop by later at Dock 2 with whatever ideas you wanted for him to try and fit into the new design. Fun. Naruto said as he jumped back and landed on his bed. I'll head out in a bit. Does anyone want to come with me? Soren shook his head as he walked towards the door to leave the room. Nah, you can go Uzumaki. I need to keep training. Now that we're somewhere solid that I can cut loose a little on, I have some techniques that I want to test out. Naruto shrugged. Suit yourself, but go around and spread the word to see if anyone wants to head out with me. Soren gave him an okay sign as he left the room. Naruto looked back over at Nojiko. So are you going to come with me? Nojiko nodded. Yeah, it should be nice. Footsteps rapidly pounded on the ground leading towards Naruto's room. Yosaku apparently is coming with us too. Right on cue, Yosaku burst through the door. Kubikiraboucho on his back ready to roll. Are we going somewhere Naruto and Iki? Huh? He asked excitedly. Nojiko started laughing hard enough to require the wall to keep her balance. He's like a dog or something, laughs it's so good. Naruto jumped out of his bed and landed in front of Nojiko and Yosaku. Alright then let's go. We should get there in 15 minutes if we move fast enough. 15 minutes. Both Nojiko and Yosaku said at the same time before Yosaku realized what he was implying. Oh, I get it. Naruto Anaki's been running on the rooftops to get everywhere. We can't do that, Aniki. We had to take the long way. Nojiko thought for a moment. Well, we could rent a Yagura bull. We won't be getting there in 15 minutes like you say, Naruto-kun, but it won't take nearly as long as it would otherwise. It's not that expensive, especially to us. Fine, Naruto said in defeat. He really wanted to take the rooftops to get there. He had seen the system of streets and canals and he wanted no part of it. He would probably get himself lost if he tried navigating his way around on the ground level, but Nojiko was smart and she sounded like she knew what she was doing. 30 minutes later, bored. Naruto kept repeating as he walked along the street, the water street to be more exact. He was walking on the water as Yosaku and Nojiko rode on the back of a Yagura bull nearby. Nojiko let out a sigh of exasperation as people from all around looked at Naruto in utter awe. Naruto-kun, stop showing off. I don't see why you didn't just rent another Yagura bull and be normal. Because being normal Naruto said blankly as he kept walking on the surface of the canal, and I'm not going to rent something to ride on when I can just walk. I'm not a lazy Noji-chan. He pointed at the area where the large doors saying, "2" were, and that's where we're going. Go put the Yagura bull up and meet me inside. Nojiko and Yosaku marveled at the size of the entire place, seeing as how they had never been that far into the town before. They had to take a large water elevator to get to the shipyard, and Naruto wasn't that patient as evidenced by him sticking to the wall and running right up the side to the top. Naruto quickly made his way from the water to the shipyard where he quickly found the diminutive foreman. Stanley, you wanted to see me. He turned from overseeing the shipyard to see the familiar blonde who had asked for his help, Mr. Uzumaki. Right on time. I cut through these plans like a hacksaw, so tell me what you think about these ideas. I think they'll suit ye and everyone on your ship. Stanley handed Naruto a small notebook with everything he had put down as potential for his ship. Naruto took it and looked at it closely, taking his time and going over every page provided before he looked at Stanley with absolutely no expression on his face. He reached into his pocket and handed him a s of paper. Sir, here is a blank sheet. You write any amount of money whatsoever on this parchment and I will produce the necessary funds to foot the bill. I do not care, money is no object. Stanley grinned at Naruto. The most expensive thing will be the wood needed for everything. You would like the best wood available. Naruto's face slowly morphed into a smug look. I have the best wood available. Wood made with the power of chakra. He looked around sheepishly. I just need an open vacant spot to use it in because I can't really control that power yet. It's pretty wild and unrefined, but the wood is top notch. Fire even has a tough time causing it any harm. He then waved all of that off, but right now I have some killer ideas. I need a sturdier sail design so I can put a little something special on the back to make the ship go faster. I also need a more aerodynamic hull so I can tear through the sea faster. Ooh, and then, lad. Stanley finally cut him off. Why don't you just write down everything you want, and produce the lumber that you said you could provide, and we can get started. Naruto pointed at him in acknowledgement. That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm so on it. This is going to be awesome. Can you really do all of the stuff you put in that notebook? Wahahaha. Can I do it? Stanley laughed at Naruto's questioning comment. Of course I can do it. I wouldn't have even drawn him up his plans if I couldn't do it. He thumped Naruto on the shoulder good-naturedly. Now, you should go find Iceberg. He's the one that ye negotiate the price with. If ye tell him you're supplying the wood, ye can hammer out a lower price. I said ye might be stopping by sometime today. He pointed in a direction. There was a ruckus at Dock 1 not too long ago. Iceberg should still be there. Naruto started walking away and gave a two-fingered salute to Stanley. Alright then, I'll be back after I work out all of the details. Later. Naruto landed in front of an area designated with a MIV 1 on a large door, signifying Dock 1, and opened it up, letting himself inside. Oi. Is there an iceberg around here? Naruto said as he landed from running atop the buildings around him. Stanley said that you might be expecting an Uzumaki. Naruto, that's me. Naruto. Naruto heard him name called loudly and rather angrily, which confused him. He had taken great care not to piss anyone off since he had arrived in Water 7. Nojiko made him promise her. So who in the Gomu Gomu no pistol gum gum pistol. Luffy. Naruto said to himself before getting nailed with a fist and bursting into smoke, leaving a log behind in his place. Naruto showed himself again standing on top of a pile of lumber. Luffy. What the? It's been months and the first thing you do when you see me is try to knock the out of me. Luffy had a rather angry look on his normally good-natured face. Don't act like you don't know what you did. You kidnapped Vivi. Naruto face faulted before standing up angrily to see Nami and an unknown group of people in Luffy's company. I did not kidnap Vivi. Those are slanderous lies of a slanderous nature. He then disappeared in a shunshin and reappeared at Nami's side. I did miss you a lot though, Nami-chan. Nami quickly gave him a kiss before slapping him. Ow. What the? I say I miss you and you hit me. Nami put her hands on her hips. Well, why do the papers say that you kidnapped Vivi? There has to be a reason for it. Naruto sighed and opened his mouth to answer before ducking a kick from Luffy. Luffy, chill out so I can explain. Don't make me kick your. Give Vivi back and let her go home, you bully. Luffy shouted at Naruto. He had forgotten how strong Naruto was, and that was before then. They were all well aware of Naruto's bounty now, and it couldn't have been just because of one thing. Luffy had to start stepping it up now if he wanted to beat Naruto. Gomu Gomu no Gatling Gum Gum Gatling Gun. Luffy began throwing rapid fire fists at Naruto, who somehow danced his way around each one. Hold still. Like I'm going to let you hit me. Naruto shouted back at the rubber man as he kept spinning Luffy's punches. I've seen what that move does to people. Now chill out or I'll make you. 4-cage Bunshin popped into existence on all sides of Luffy before taking advantage of Luffy's tunnel vision on Naruto and kicking him into the air, stopping his barrage. Zu. Ma. Ki. Naruto jumped into the air and dropped an axe kick on the top of Luffy's head. Uzumaki Naruto Renden. Uzumaki Naruto Barrage. The kick deposited Luffy hard into a small crater in the ground. Now will you shut up and listen to me? His answer came in a pair of hands reaching out to grab him and missing. I guess not. Did that last one even hurt? Gomu Gomu no Rocket Gum Gum Rocket. Luffy's body swung out of the crater at Naruto after his outstretched hands found something firm to grab a hold of and pull with. Naruto grinned fairly as he saw Luffy's body flying at him in proverbial slow motion. He made 4 quick hand seals. Doden. Doryuaheki, Earth Release. Earth-style wall. A large wall quickly rose from the ground in front of Naruto with the Uzumaki swirl on the front as he heard the dull thump of Luffy bouncing off of his temporary construct. I know that hurt. Are we done, Luffy? He heard Luffy growl and run around the side of the wall to deliver a punch to his face that revealed that Naruto to be a cage bunshin. Doden. Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release. Double Suicide Decapitation Jutsu. A pair of hands latched down around Luffy's ankles and tried dragging him underground, but Luffy's legs stretched, keeping him from being trapped. Naruto reappeared from the ground with a deadpan look on his face as Luffy pulled his legs free and snorted like a bull about to charge. What's going on? NMAA. Khalifa, do you know? A man with blue hair, a 5 o'clock shadow, black suit pants, and an orange and red striped suit jacket said as he watched Naruto and Luffy's ruckus. Khalifa, a blonde woman with glees and hair tied into a bun who wore a yellow, long-sleeved jacket, high-heeled black boots, and a black tight miniskirt spoke as she adjusted her glees. The other man is Uzumaki Naruto. Bounty of 245 million belly. I'm not quite sure what the issue between the two is. Iceberg-san. She saw Naruto take notice of her and point and wink at her for identifying him. That's sexual harassment, she said, getting Naruto to gape at her in disbelief. Gomu Gomu no Stamp, Gum Gum Stamp. Luffy's foot stretched straight out and caught Naruto, who was still recovering from Khalifa's comment, right in the stomach, driving him hard into a storehouse right through a shut door. Luffy grinned at having finally caught Naruto with an attack as he heard him groan from inside of the storehouse. Ah, that was such a punch, Luffy. Naruto's voice echoed out from within the storehouse, mice running away from the clatter he had caused inside with his body. Luffy rotated his arm preparing for more of a fight. No, I didn't punch you, I kicked you, stupid. Now get out here so I can beat you up some more. He didn't expect to hear Naruto start to laugh from inside of the storehouse. What's funny? Naruto stopped laughing as he had still remained to have been seen emerging from the storehouse. You're a few years too early to say you can beat me, Luffy. One of the mice who had run out of the storehouse ran past Luffy, before transforming in a puff of smoke back into Naruto, who had a wild grin on his face and his hands held in a tiger hand seal. Konohagakure Hiden Taijutsu Ugi, Senengarashi Konohagakure's most secret and sacred technique, 1000 years of death. Too fast for Luffy to register a defense for, Naruto's pointed fingers, held in the seal, found their way to the most vulnerable spot feasible from the rubber man's backside. Adding a little wind to the humiliating technique sent Luffy rocketing off, screaming and holding his rectum. Naruto stood up out of his attack stance and looked at Khalifa, now that could actually register as sexual harmant. He looked in the direction that he launched Luffy. Okay, he's going to be right back here in a moment, pissed off to boot, so I'll just say I didn't kidnap Vivi. There were reasons that Cobra needed her smuggled out of the country, and he decided to scapegoat me since I'm supposed to be an outlaw anyway. You can ask her yourself later, she's actually with me and my crew. Nami still had her hands on her hips before relenting her stern look. Okay, I believe you Naruto-kun, and don't touch me for a while, at least until you wash your hands please. Naruto looked at his hands and blinked. Deal. He turned to Iceberg, so how much do I owe you if I supply the lumber for all of the work to be done on my ship? Khalifa showed him her notes in her ledger and he addressed Naruto on it. Let's see. Not a lot of guys can supply their own lumber for the work that needs to be done. That's a significant portion of the billing right there, building supplies. If you already have that, then you can be cut a break in the price. I would say that after going through the intended plans and being told that you can supply your own wood, the price will be around 55 million belly. Naruto nodded. Alright then, sweet. I was expecting way more than that. Yeah, I can pay that right now. Naruto said, extracting a scroll from his coat. This has 100 million in it, just let me split it up and I'll hand it right over. Naruto grinned. Me and Johnny cleaned so many fools out on Jaya, you'd think they would have stopped trying to gamble with us. Nami D bad over his shoulder with money signs in her eyes. Yes Nami-chan. I don't know why you're so up for this money, you seem to have more than this right there. He pointed at suitcase she was holding. While he was doing that, a hand tried to grab into his coat pocket that he wound up stopping. Don't do that. The hand belonged to a blonde man with a yellow shirt and denim jacket who had a pair of goggles on his forehead. The man grinned at Naruto. You wouldn't mind sparing some of that money for someone down on their luck, would you? Naruto gave him a deadpan look. Someone that says that gambled their money away. No. Besides, you wouldn't even know how to open one of these scrolls of mine. Naruto let go of his arm. I don't even know who you are. The name's Polly. He said before looking at a man with a nose similar to Usopp's wearing a white cap and orange shirt with blue sleeves that appeared as if he had just gotten through running from somewhere. Hey Kaku. Where did you go? The man pointed a thumb in the direction he had come from. Oh, I just came back from checking out our customer's ship. And Iceberg-san is here too. It Naruto. Luffy roared as he stomped back angrily over to where everyone was. This time you're not pulling any of your sneaky, weird ninja stuff on me when we fight. He then noticed Kaku and his mood changed. Oh hey. How much will it cost? I have tons of money to pay, and if you could you put in some cannons and make it super strong and make it go faster. Nami interjected as well. Please also do some decorative remodeling on the exterior and some remodeling for the rooms too. She then looked around and saw 2 suitcases laying around nearby. Where's Usopp? Oh well, at least he left the rest of the money here. Kaku started speaking on the condition of the ship. Well, you must have had quite an eventful trip to get here. Luffy grinned. Yep. We climbed a mountain and then we went into the sky. Naruto pointed at him in realization. I knew that was you. You bastard, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm seriously going to top that one. He was honestly upset that he hadn't gone up there. He actually probably could have, but it would have been by himself and he wasn't leaving the rest of his crew behind just to get his kicks. Kaku let out a sigh at hearing about the fond memories that Luffy had of his ship. The truth is, even we aren't able to fix your ship. That got surprised reactions from everyone around within ears. Wow. Even if we patch it up as much as we can, the probability of you making it to the next island is 0%. Polly put a cigar in his mouth and lit it up. Is there something wrong with the keel? Yes. Kaku admitted, it's severely damaged. The fact is, the ship can't be repaired no matter how much money you have. It's honestly a miracle that you made it this far. Naruto turned his head to see that Yosaku and Nojiko had finally made their way over, but the oath that Nojiko had for her sister died in her throat when she felt the grave atmosphere abundant. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Naruto scratched the top of his head. The going merry can't be fixed. Apparently it's really messed up from all of the time on the Grand Line. That really is for them. What exactly is wrong with the going merry? Nami asked. There had to be something that could be done to fix it. Don't you know anything about ship's girl? Polly asked as he began to explain. The keel is the most important part of the ship, the support that goes from the head to the tail of it. It can't just be fixed like that. Every piece of wood on a ship is centered at the keel. It's the lifeline of the ship. Replacing the keel is the same exact thing as building a whole new ship. He shut his eyes after he made his point. It can't be repaired. Your ship is nothing more than a pile of wood waiting to be scrapped. Nami was outraged. The going merry was their ship. They couldn't just get rid of it. How could you say that? I know it's bad, but it's the truth. Polly said. Luffy jumped back in at that point, then just remake it from the start. Remake the going merry. A pigeon on the shoulder of a man with curly black hair, a goatee, and a top hat answered him. That's not possible either. While it is possible to build two identical ships, it still won't be the same. There are no two same ships in the world. It all depends on the wood. Even if we had the blueprints, we can't build an exact replica. The ones who will feel the change most of all will be all of you. You'll all know it's not the same ship. Nami's mood sombered at the implication. So you're saying that the going merry will never sail again? Kaku nodded. That's correct. What Lucci said was true. You can either take it apart now or let it sink and die naturally. Iceberg decided to give his own opinion at this point as everyone around with an attachment to the ship were stunned to silence. The ship has lived out its life, but if you think of it another way, with your old one gone you can buy a brand new ship. Luffy visibly bristled at this point and Naruto palmed his face at the coming explosion. You have the money for it. I heard about your ship's caliber. It's a very old model. The sea beyond this point is too rough for it, even if it wasn't broken. No. Luffy finally shouted, having had enough of this conversation. I don't want a new ship. If you just fix it, it'll definitely keep going. We got here perfectly today, so who says it can't go on? I just can't believe you. You have no idea how strong our ship is. A small white mouse emerged from Iceberg's pocket that he rubbed on the top of its head. Then you can just sit in that ship and sink with it. You little punk, you call yourself a captain. He then let out a sigh and began walking away. That's enough talking for today, just think about it. Come back when you want to buy a new ship. With your 300 million belly you can easily afford the best ship we can make. He turned to Naruto. Come with me if you want to pay in advance for your ship's repairs. Naruto nodded and formed a cage bunchen that he handed the scroll containing the money to. Go with him. Divide it up and pay for everything up front. If you need more for some reason, dispel and tell me. The clone nodded and followed Iceberg and Khalifa away. Naruto walked over to Nami and Luffy, as did Yosaku and Nojiko, who was currently listening to her sister run down the situation. Hey you guys. Iceberg called out. You're going to want to hide. There's people from the world government here. Naruto and his clone with Iceberg quickly used henge to transform into generic-looking dock workers while everyone else hid behind a large pile of lumber. Luffy took a hold of the 2 extra suitcases that Usopp had apparently left behind and frowned. These feel light. Nami started laughing nervously, as if that would actually keep what she knew had already happened from being real. Don't joke around, there's 100 million belly in there, how can it be light? She hesitantly opened the suitcases and let out a scream of horror. The other 200 million we had is gone. When you look at the 2 cases, they aren't even ours. Hey, weren't you with the Frankies earlier today? A man asked Kaku that the shipwright denied. I could have sworn I saw your long nose. It seemed like they were carrying you too. Wah! Luffy exclaimed. Usopp was kidnapped by those Frankie people. Luffy, go find him. Nami yelled frantically, prompting the straw hat-clad pirate to take off rapidly to do so. Wait. Do you even know where to go? She turned to Polly. Hey, do you know where the Frankies live? Polly quickly answered. Go from where you all docked your ship, and then go northeast along the beach. You'll see the Frankie house. Nami immediately took off towards the Yagura bull they used to get there so that she could get back to the going merry and get Zoro as well as stash the rest of their money. Iceberg turned to Naruto. Aren't you going too? Naruto started feeling around on his person. It wears the Hiraishin kunai. I swore I had one with me in case I needed it. No. Now I've got to find Nami-chan again to get her one. He turned to Yosaku and Nojiko. What should I do? Yosaku gripped the handle of Kubikirabucho defensively. I'll stay with Nojiko Ainu. You're faster than the both of us and we'd only slow you down, Naruto and Iki. Nojiko gave him a roaring smile. Yes. We'll look around here and go to Dock 2 to find Stanley and see about our ship. You go. We can get back to the natural disaster just fine on our own, okay. Naruto nodded and gave Nojiko a kiss before taking off to find the Going Merry. Everyone watched as Naruto started running atop the roofs of the buildings and finally jumped off of the edge of the elevated position of the Galley La Company, surprising many, especially Kaku. He can do that too. Nojiko nodded. Yeah. You get used to it after a while. Come on, how hard could it be to find a ship with a ram figurehead? I'm lost, Naruto thought to himself as he tore around the outlying area on the outskirts of Water 7 trying to find the Going Merry. While doing this, he found a rather brown frog with hair in a samurai style and numerous scars on its body. Maybe this guy could help me out. Naruto stopped and shouted out at the amphibian in the water, Oi! Can you help me out really quick? The MIV animal swam over to Naruto and looked at him rather impatiently. Man, this guy reminds me of Gamabunta. Can you tell me which way northeast is? I need to get there to help some people out really quick. The toad lifted a webbed leg and pointed directly behind Naruto, getting him to sigh in exasperation. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll come back with a treat or something nice for you later. Right now I've got to go kick some. Naruto once again took off at high speed, cutting through town to get directly to the northeast edge of the island. After running for a while, Naruto found Luffy, Usopp, Zoro, and Chopper, all hovering over a badly beaten Usopp. He looked forward and saw a rather gaudy-looking house that basically advertised itself as the hideout of the gang. Naruto walked over with a frown on his face as he looked over the injured marksman. He tried getting them back by himself, didn't he? Sanji nodded and took his cigarette from his mouth. We're going in to kick their ass right now. Naruto nodded and cracked his knuckles. Do you mind if I start? This would be killing two birds with one stone in this instance, seeing as how this move is kind of wild, and I really don't care too much for these Frankie guys right now. I need the practice. Sanji gestured for him to proceed and Naruto moved ahead of the rest of the Straw Hats, forming two hand seals before calling out the name of the jutsu. Mokuden Haijutsu. Jukai Kuden would release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees. The ground began to rumble and large roots began to sprout up from the ground, trailing away from Naruto and towards the house before finally fully surfacing and forming a series of trees that punctured the structure of the building thoroughly and on multiple sides, in some cases the branches forming from the trees punched through the other side. Naruto grinned as the Straw Hat members took that as their cue to head up and kick in the door. Who the had the balls to do that to our place? Someone must have a death wish. Everyone inside, dressed in the uniform of wearing strange overalls and goggles, took note of the 5 people that were standing at what used to be their door. You're that, Straw Hat, Luffy. A MIV man in body armor said, not frightened after learning that Luffy was the one leading the charge. Are you here for the money? Look at how many people we have here. You're only 5 little guys, we outnumber you 10 to 1. We'll take the bounty on your head and get even more money. He patted his armored torso. A weak guy like you, I'll give you the first free hit. Naruto ed an eyebrow and looked at the other Straw Hats. Is he serious? Did they not just pay attention to the giant trees I made that tore this place a new one? Luffy immediately started throwing punches that didn't hit the large man, prompting him to begin laughing. That's enough, boy. I'll show you how to fight. Gomu Gomu no Cannon, Gum Gum Cannon. Luffy swung both of his fists into the body of the man's armor, piercing it and destroying it, knocking the man out with one attack. The quick defeat thoroughly freaked out all of the Frankie family, who tried begging off and talking it out with them before pulling out a set of cannons and firing them off. Zoro pulled out all 3 of his swords and cut right through the cannonballs that had been sent at them, as well as the cannons themselves. You should have done your homework when you picked people to rob. They all began hightailing it to the back door when Sanji jumped over the lot of them and cut them off, landing on the head of one of the enemies in a handstand and delivering a series of vicious kicks to the surrounding people, taking them all down. Chopper even got into the action as well, transforming into his horn point form, using his horns to throw the men up into the air, forcing them to land on their heads, sticking straight up. Roseo Colonnade, Cherry Blossom Colonnade. We don't have to fight. The outmatched group of thieves yelled, trying to reason with the angry Straw Hats and the amused Naruto, who was just fine with sitting back and letting them handle their own business. The 200 million we got from that Pinocchio guy isn't here anymore. Our boss Frankie already took the cash and went shopping. He's probably already on the C train and we have no idea where he's going either. You can't get your money, bah. He was cut off by Naruto pelting him in the head with a piece of debris, knocking him out. Naruto pulled his outstretched arm back in place. You guys talk way too much. Just give up or fight, we don't have anything to say to you. Sanji put a new cigarette in his mouth. It's not just about the money anymore, you morons. Zoro had his bandana on his head and no look of giving any quarter in his eyes. That's right, you pissed us off. Luffy flexed his fists with a look of intensity on his face. We're going to pulverize you all. That's our line, you idiots. One of the men yelled back as they pulled a large cannon out. There's still only 5 of you and tons of us left. Unfortunately for them, their more powerful adversaries apparently couldn't care less about the numerical odds as they all began beating the daylights out of the remainder of the gang effortlessly. Some time later, what had remained of the Frankie house had been destroyed when Naruto used his Mokuden powers again to form more trees for lumber intended for building, turning the area into a veritable forest. So what are you guys going to do now? He formed of clones and had them take positions all around the trees. I want nice even clean cuts, like the lumber we saw in the yard. Sanji sat on some of the wreckage they had caused when they thrashed the thieves. So should we actually go after that Frankie guy? Where would we go? Zoro asked as Luffy stood off to the side, a look of intense thought on his features and Chopper off treating Usopp's wounds. These small fries don't know where the money is and we can only take care of the guy after he gets back from shopping. He isn't coming back anytime soon. Sanji sighed, we're just wasting time here. Let's go back. Nami is alone on the ship, we can't find Robin, and the ship itself is breaking down too. Naruto turned his attention away from his clones who were working on using their wind chakra to section up the trees. Where are you guys keeping your ship? I'll swing ours over nearby right now, then I'll help you look for Robin-chan. Zoro and Sanji pointed over in the general direction of their ship, implying that it was on the outskirts of Water 7 in that direction. Naruto nodded and prepared to leave when Luffy abruptly spoke. I've finally made a decision. He took a deep breath. I've decided that it's time to say goodbye to the Going Merry. Naruto looked at the Straw Hat crew solemnly and let out a sigh. I'll see you guys later, he said before vanishing in a yellow flash. Hours later, nightfall. How terrible, Vivi commented from her spot at the helm. After he, Nojiko, and Johnny had returned, Naruto had allowed her to take over steering the ship to allow her some practical instruction. For times when he wasn't there, someone else would need to know how. Why not her? I loved that ship. I had some wonderful times on that ship with the others. Naruto was watching over the front of the ship as it traveled. I know. I had a decent time on it too while I was with their crew, but there's nothing they can do. If it's done, it's done. That iceberg guy seemed like a straight shooter. I don't think he would have lied to them about something like that. Vivi's frowning face turned into a smile once the Going Merry came into view. It's going to be so good to see everyone again though. I missed them all. Naruto allowed himself a grin. You'd better, and I know they miss you too. Luffy tried to beat me up earlier because he thought I really kidnapped you. He jumped on the front railing. Okay, I'm going to go drop in and say hey really quickly. He pointed back at her. You don't run the ship aground or run into the Going Merry, or I'll terrorize you tomorrow during training. Vivi rolled her eyes and sent a dismissive gesture Naruto's way. He grinned and blew her a kiss before disappearing in a swirl of water, prompting Vivi to blink at his shunshin. That was new. I thought the only thing he could do with that was use leaves and wind. Naruto reappeared aboard the Going Merry much the same way that he had left his own ship, with a grin on his face and a Hiraishin kunai in his hand. Oi. Guess who's back? And I've got something special for all of my Straw Hat people. He looked down on the deck where he saw Usopp lying on his back, beaten up just as badly as before, and with a somber look on his face. What's wrong? What happened, and where are the others? They left, Usopp said. They decided to leave the Going Merry behind and I kicked their ass off. You should have seen it. Naruto crouched down by Usopp with a dry look on his face. Yeah, you sure look like you beat all of their s. He poked Usopp on the forehead. So you're just going to ditch everyone because of this ship? From what I heard when I was at the Galila company, this thing is on borrowed time here. What are you going to do with it? I'll keep sailing it. Usopp exclaimed vehemently. I'll fix it up just like I always have and keep sailing on. A brave warrior of the sea never turns him back on his comrades, and the Going Merry is a comrade. A nakama, a member of the crew just like any of us. Naruto let out a sigh and sat next to Usopp on the deck, just letting the silence of the night wash over them both. After a while, Naruto finally spoke. That's true, but you did kind of turn your back on your comrades. Oh well, it's not my place. You're going to believe what you want to. I'm weak, Naruto. Usopp said rather tearfully. I lost the money. I always need someone stronger like Luffy or Zoro to handle fights for me. I can't protect anyone. Then get stronger. Usopp sat up and looked at Naruto, whose tone had quickly turned from one of understanding to one of confident Urshin. If you don't think you're strong enough, then just get stronger. If you don't like being protected all the time, then make it so that you're the one that does the protecting. Naruto turned his head towards Usopp. I remember the time we met when we fought Kuro and all of his pirates and you didn't back up a step. You fought even past the point of you being able to stand up. That's the kind of drive a guy like you should cultivate. Use that to go past your limits again and again. Naruto flexed his arm. I used to be weak too. So many people lost their lives or lost things important to them by trying to protect me. I never wanted anyone to ever have to do that again. That's one of the reasons that I keep trying to improve, so that I can protect others close to me instead of needing to be protected. And you can do it too. Usopp looked back up at the sky. I'm not sure. I still think that without me dragging the crew down, everything will be better. Like I said, there's nothing special about me. Let me tell you a little story. Naruto said, when I was 12, my village was attacked by two others that were intent on annihilating every one of us, and I wound up being swept into the fight as well as my teammates. I wound up having to chase one of my teammates far outside the village and wound up going against this guy named Gaara, and I thought he was going to kill us all. The next day, earlier that morning, the Foxhound crew had taken the natural disaster in to be worked on after the plans were finalized the previous day, and through a combined effort of every male on board, Naruto had been dragged from the ship to a nearby while still in his sleep. Not nearly as easy as it sounded, as Naruto fought anyone trying to disturb his slumber. After the rather violent transport and upon awakening, in the late afternoon, Naruto was immediately hounded with the news that the Straw Hats had attempted to kill Iceberg the night before. More specifically, Nico Robin, the only member of the crew he hadn't seen since their arrival in Water 7. So only sparing time to get dressed, Naruto headed back out towards the main town to figure what had happened and find Robin himself. How hard could it be? With this firmly in mind, Naruto found himself and Johnny for backup and support, at the Galila company for clues. What the happened here? Naruto asked when he arrived to the area in front of Dock 1. It looked like it had been hit by a typhoon. It was that Straw Hat Luffy guy. Yeah, he swam Iceberg and then got away from the strongest Galila members when they tried to bring him down. It's fine though, with Aqua Laguna tonight he isn't going anywhere. I don't like this Naruto Aniki. Johnny said rather hesitantly. Do you really think that any of them actually did this? Naruto shook his head. No, it's not anyone on the Straw Hat crew's style to use guns except for maybe Usopp, and he was on the Going Merry all night. None of them did a thing, I'm certain of it. Nobody was going to help the crew out. He was sure of it. They were pirates, they had no one to turn to in case of injustices done to them, so Naruto had to do it himself. Now hold on a minute here. I know all of those guys and I'll say, staking my own word on it, that they would never pull anything like that. Straw Hat Luffy just broke into Iceberg's mansion and tried to finish the job. Naruto's face quickly fell from one of confidence to one of a man walking to the gallows. Thank you Luffy, thank you so much for proving my words right. I appreciate it. Naruto said sarcastically. So you're the Straw Hat Kid's ally? Polly said, flanked by two muscular men, shirtless with tattoos, as well as Kaku and Rob Lucci. You should have just stayed quiet and let us handle it. Do you really want all of Water 7 as an enemy? Naruto frowned. No, all I wanted was my ship to get fixed, I just paid for it yesterday. But if you're calling out the Straw Hat crew for something I know they didn't do, then I'm going to support them. Killing anyone at all isn't Luffy's style. He noticed the people around the scene moving in with angry looks on their faces and flared his chakra intensely enough to cause a small windstorm. The real question is, do you want to make an enemy out of me? Because I'll actually hit you back. Johnny held his hand on his sheathed Uchigatana. And I don't really care if I kill any of you during the fight. I'm not going to try to, but if it happens, it happens. You were the ones picking a fight with us. We're just looking for our friends. Polly narrowed his eyes. Well, then we can haul you off to jail just like with the Straw Hat crew. Johnny whispered to Naruto. This is bad, Naruto Aniki. We already brought the ship to Dock 2 to start being worked on. We don't have an escape route. We need it to leave the island, and there's supposed to be a huge storm tonight. We're stuck here. Naruto shrugged. There's always an escape route. He punched the palm of his hand. You just beat up enough people for you to run and hide to lay low. Johnny sighed and readjusted his sungles on his face. This isn't going to be fun, is it? His answer came when the weights on his legs deactivated and dropped to the ground. He looked over at Naruto and saw that he had his hands in the seal release position. I didn't think so. Naruto saw the larger of the shirtless tattooed men pull out a large handheld cannon. You're going to want to move, Johnny, now. Demi cannon. The cannon fired at Naruto and Johnny as the two rushed away from the target area, one moving in a faster blur than the other, in opposite directions, splitting the two up as the nearby crowd roared in approval of the Straw Hat sympathizers getting theirs at the hands of the strongest members of the Galila Company. Johnny vs. Peeply Lulu. Tylestone. Another cannon blast that landed in front of Johnny stopped the fleet-footed swordsman in his tracks. Stop shooting at me, you maniac. What the do you want? Leave us alone. Tylestone, the larger of the two men with brown hair in a ponytail and a gray beard, took aim at Johnny again. Iceberg is a great man. To let the people that attempted to kill him go on about their business is a slap in the face of this town, and if you're going to defend them, you're going down too, because no one's going to help you. Johnny felt the urge to face palm were he not in a fight. It's times like this I feel like slapping myself for naming our crew as the Foxhound Pirates. We could have avoided tons of trouble. Hey, where's the other guy? Johnny's answer came in the form of a kick that caught him in the side of the head and sent him rolling across the ground. There's no sanctuary for pirates like you who decide to do as they wish in this town. Peeply Lulu, the other man with short black hair that had a cow sticking from the side of it, said. He walked over to a nearby carpenter's table and grabbed two saws. Johnny picked himself back up with a grin on his face as he felt the bruise rising on his cheek. Hey, is that the best you've got? Naruto Aniki hit me harder than that in his sleep. His thumb fed his sword loose in its sheath. That was the last time I've ever volunteered to wake him up. The Miv man fired his cannon again and Johnny quickly rushed from his spot to attack him directly. His quick slash at Tylestone was blocked by the cannon that prompted Johnny to grit his teeth in exasperation. I still can't cut through metal yet. Even Yosaku can now. I need to stop working on speed and get more strength. Naruto vs. Polly. Rob Lucci Kaku. Naruto stood atop a crane and looked down at the three men who had decided to come after him. This is stupid. I like fighting every now and then, but not for something like this. His ship was pretty much in Galila's custody. A fight with them was the very last thing he wanted. He crouched down and tilted his head. Can't we just talk this out? Why do you think that they had anything to do with what happened to your Mayor Iceberg? He said that Nico Robin was the one who had attacked him. Polly said to Naruto, are you still on their side? Naruto immediately nodded. Fine, then you can go down with them as well. A rope flew out of his sleeve up at Naruto, forcing him to jump into the air to dodge. While in the air, however, Kaku appeared above him with a series of chisels in his hands that he threw at the prone Naruto. Upon being hit by the chisels, Naruto's body turned into a log, signifying a kawarimi. On the ground all around Polly, several of Naruto's clones suddenly appeared and rushed him from all sides, bringing a smirk to the man's face. Rupuakushan. Zuhachi Nato. Rope action. Figure of 8 knot. 8 blunted ropes flew from places inside of Polly's clothes and hit all of the clones with ridiculous accuracy. These are specially woven Galila ropes, they're unbreakable. I doubt that. Naruto said as he rushed from a hidden position at Polly while dodging the projectiles thrown by Kaku. However, he wound up being corralled towards a hidden Rob Lucci who had a fist ed back and heading right for his face. Naruto averted his focus to Lucci and threw his own punch that hit Lucci's head on. He's just as strong as Luffy is. Thanked Kami for my healing ability. I think that broke my hand. I know that hurt him too though. Naruto's still outstretched hand was tied up by another of Polly's ropes as he was caught off guard, abruptly pulled off of his feet and into the air. Polly attempted to slam Naruto into the ground as Naruto reached the apex of elevation. Rupuakushan, Moyai Musubi, rope action, bull and knot. While he was being hurled up into the air, Naruto slid a kunai into his hand from his sleeve, flying swallow. Naruto channeled wind chakra into the blade, making it stronger in its cutting power and freed himself from Polly's rope. However, Naruto wound up being flung high into air with the momentum used to get him up that high. Kaku took aim at the airborne shinobi and tried picking him off with more projectiles. Naruto batted away the offending tools with his kunai and threw it at Kaku, getting him to dodge and move towards Lucci, who springboarded off of his hands into the air at Naruto. Naruto made a quick cage bunshin while still in the air and had it throw him at Rob Lucci, bunshin Tayatari clone body blow. Naruto hurtled through the air like a rotating high-speed missile and plowed headfirst directly into Lucci, who crossed his arms to block the attack. The impact sent them both flying off in opposite directions. What's this guy made of? He's super tough. Naruto landed on the top of a building. Stop it now it. I'll tear this place apart if you don't leave us alone. The shipwrights continued to advance. In response, Naruto made 3 hand seals. Fine. You asked for it, Sweden. Koku no Jutsu, water release. Black rain jutsu. A black cloud rose from Naruto's body into the air and began raining all over the area, alerting the others. However, it seemed to do no damage. What was that supposed to be? Polly taunted Naruto. That didn't do anything. He stopped talking when he began smelling what exactly the black fluid Naruto had produced was. You wouldn't. Naruto's face was deadly serious. Try me. He said, making more hand seals. I'll send this whole place up in an oil fire, and then I'll stop the flow of all of the water coming up here so you can't put it out. Read my bounty profile and tell me I can't. He waited for someone to call him out on it. They never did. That's what I thought. Now I'm going to leave. You're all going to stay there. He then created a cage bunshin that started making hand seals before holding the last one. His one job is to set this place on fire if you chase me. Do not with me. Polly grit his teeth in anger at Naruto's threat. You're making an enemy of an entire town, you know. Naruto shrugged. So, I already have an entire country at my throat for no reason. Why not add one more place to the list of areas I can't come back to for stupid reasons? Later. I'll be back for my ship. I paid you. I still expect Stanley to finish working on it. He said, vanishing in a swirl of wind and leaves, leaving his clone behind. Polly glared at the clone, who had a no-nonsense look on its face as it continued to hold its hand seal. Tisk, there's nothing we can do without losing the whole dock. He'll get away for now, just like Straw Hat, Luffy. Johnny vs. Peeply Lulu. Tylestone. Johnny traded strikes with Peeply Lulu's twin saws, getting the better of the man, leaving a shallow slash across his chest before focusing back on Tylestone, who had him firmly in his sights. Oh, like I'm letting you shoot me again. Johnny dodged the hand cannon blast as Tylestone kept quickly reloading and refiring. Johnny pumped more and more effort to his legs as he felt his muscles pushing well past their limits. He started getting tunnel vision. Wait, this only happens when I use that move with Yosaku. Can I do it now without his help to gain the speed for it? Hold still. Tylestone shouted before letting off another thunderous blast. Demi cannon. Johnny jumped onto the side of a wall just as the cannonball hit the very same surface, bringing a satisfied smile to Tylestone's face. Dodge that, you little pest. Hanakaru IQ, rebound impact. After Tylestone started to speak, Johnny immediately swung out of the cloud from the explosion directly at him, so fast that he didn't even have time to grab a new cannonball to reload. Johnny slashed Tylestone across the chest and flew past him, the speed of the attack sending the large man stumbling back before Johnny bounced off another surface and cut him across the back. This repeated itself on all sides of his body as Johnny's momentum picked up and forced him to move faster and faster. The only thing denoting his presence were the sounds of his sword cutting through the air as he slashed at his enemy. Tylestone finally had enough and dropped to the ground in a wounded heap. Stone. Peeply Lulu called out as he ran over to his comrade when Johnny, still moving at high speed from his last technique, appeared in front of Peeply Lulu with his sword sheathed once more. No. Yosen Ixen primary flash. A silver flash appeared in front of Johnny, the only sign that he had even pulled his blade loose to cut at him opponent, as his sword seemed to have never left his sheath. He stood straight up and walked past an unmoving Peeply Lulu. You were the ones that picked the fight. The sound of his blade's guard ching against the top of the scabbard echoed out as he walked away. Peeply Lulu seemed to have nothing wrong with him until the sound of Johnny's sword ching rang out. He let out a groan as a vertical wound from his shoulder to his hip began spraying blood as he dropped onto the ground. Naruto landed in front of Johnny and looked at the downed shipwrights. Don't tell me you. Johnny shook his head and cut him off right there. They're not dead. They're not even hurt that badly, Naruto Aniki. I cut shallow, they'll be up in 30. He frowned. I don't really like killing too much. If I could go all out without killing anyone, I would never do it at all. Naruto patted him on the shoulder. If you can win without killing anyone, then you're the better person for it. They didn't deserve to die. Now let's get out of here. The swordsman nodded and quickly followed Naruto as they discreetly tried leaving the area. What are we going to do? Johnny asked as Naruto planned to jump down to the lower levels with him on his back. They think we're accomplices of Zoro Anaki's crew and that they attacked Iceberg San. Naruto jumped down onto a roof in the lower section of town and was rather proud of Johnny for not yelling in fear at their descent. I have a bounty and you look normal enough to blend in with other people. I'm going to be the one put out in the cold from this. Go find everyone else and tell them to drop off for the time being. Soren is in charge since he knows how to make himself scarce. Johnny nodded and prepared to leave when Naruto grabbed his shoulder. And good work. Johnny smiled and nodded before leaving Naruto to himself. He took the Hiraishin kunai out of his pocket and FPED it around intently before looking up at the sky and sighing. Maybe Noji-chan is right, I just can't help but to get into trouble. Only one thing to do now. Naruto threw the kunai into the air and disappeared in a yellow flash. Nightfall Galila headquarters, the tide around Water 7 had risen to alarming heights by this time as everyone had gotten themselves geared up for the coming storm. Naruto kept a decent berth away from the mansion as it was surrounded by Galila workers. Okay, the place is locked down tighter than the room of a crime lord's virgin daughter. He blinked at what he had just said. Kami, I'm such a deviant, you arrow senin. A sudden explosion rang out, alerting Naruto to a series of figures that for the most part stealthily infiltrated the mansion during the panic. They're decent. Of course, getting in without causing a ruckus would have been much better. One of the attackers on the mansion defeated many of the workers guarding the place with swift use of a thorned whip. What in the is going on? Should I do something? He then saw Zoro, Nami, and Chopper run right up to the front door that was still heavily guarded, and thus the chase began. Well, that answers that question. Naruto began running along rooftops and wound up running right alongside the miserably outnumbered trio before jumping down in front of them all. Naruto. Nami called out as she ran past him. As she and Chopper did so, Zoro turned alongside Naruto to face off with the crowd, his swords drawn. Zoro. What are you two doing? Saving your ass. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone jutsu. Naruto called out, flooding the street with clones that formed a wall. Zoro, you're going to want to close your eyes for this one, trust me. The swordsman was confused, but did as requested as Naruto had his trust. As the green-haired man closed his eyes, Naruto grinned fairly and formed a series of hand seals. Transform. A large puff of smoke clouded the street that the shipwrights charged into. Harem no Jutsu, Harem Jutsu. The smoke cleared and every one of the men that were close enough to get a view of the amounts of beautiful, naked blonde women standing in the street provocatively flew backwards into sweet unconscious bliss as torrents of blood gushed from their noses. I've still got it. Naruto yelled in victory. I'm an army killer, baby. Zoro opened his eyes upon Naruto's declaration of success and looked around to see the beaten shipwrights, a grinning Naruto, a mortified Chopper, and a blushing Nami who looked ready to strangle Naruto. What did he do? I didn't see anything. Yes, Nami-chan. Naruto said, trying to intentionally provoke her. Tell Zoro how I beat all of those guys in one move, he wants to know. Nami glared at him and huffed before walking up to Naruto and poking him on the chest. You're making it up to me for using that move in front of me, understood? Naruto nodded and Nami grabbed his chin, getting close to his face. I'll deal with you after we're done with all of this. You owe me one of a date after all of this time. Zoro shrugged at the little spat between the two and began running towards the mansion to get inside like Luffy had. Nami then realized what they had been doing. That's right. We need to get in there to find Robin and help Luffy. She and Chopper began running after Zoro. Naruto-kun, can you find Sanji for me? We don't know where he is and he's been missing all day. Naruto nodded and yelled back to her, can you all handle this? Are you sure you don't need my help? Nami turned back and winked at him. We can handle this, Naruto. We've done just fine so far since you left us. We should tell you sometime. We're way stronger. She then turned towards the mansion and kept running along with Chopper. Naruto frowned and formed a cage bunshin. Go find the others and tell them what's happening. Tell them to get to Iceberg's mansion and watch the Straw Hat Crew's backs. I'll be back with them soon enough. The clone nodded and took off as Naruto reached into his coat and pulled out the Hiraishin kunai he carried with him. I still haven't managed to give this to them yet, he scolded himself before taking off in search of Sanji. 10 minutes later, Nojiko arrived at the scene on the back of Soren, who had deemed it necessary to carry her to arrive faster. Oh my god, what happened here? The entire mansion was burned to the ground and the people were out front gathered around Nami, Iceberg, Polly, and an unconscious Chopper. Nami. What happened? Naruto-kun told us to come here in case you needed help. Miss Valentine landed from the sky with her umbrella in hand as Johnny and Yosaku arrived shortly thereafter on foot. Nami ran up to Nojiko and grabbed her shoulders. I need to find Luffy and then Naruto-kun. We need to go save Robin from the government officials that took her. Nojiko blinked in confusion before her face hardened. Tell me everything, and what we might be able to do to help you. Soren walked over to a wounded Chopper. I think we're going to need Mirai's help to fix the little reindeer guy. He rubbed his bald head. She's going to be pissed about working on an animal though, but it can't be helped. Yosaku formally saluted as if he were a soldier as he spoke. Well, if Nico Robin is being taken from the island, then the next and last train out of here leaves in 20 minutes. We're going to have to move if we're going to make it down there. We need to go now then. Nami said, we have to go convince Robin ourselves. I need someone to check over in the directions that Luffy and Zoro were thrown. Johnny and Yosaku volunteered, as did the newly reawakened Chopper just as Polly sat up. Hey everyone. He said, speaking to the Galila workers, help them all out. The workers started spouting off about how they were Iceberg's ins, finally pissing him off. The ins weren't the Straw Hats, we were deceived. They were framed by the actual killers and fought against them, they fought for us. They're the only reason that Iceberg and I are still alive. He stood up and motioned to Nami. Hey, I'll lead you to the station, you shameless woman. He pointed at her and Nojiko. I still think you should wear something to cover yourselves better. Blue Station, Sanji watched from the nearby shadows as Robin walked in a crowd of people over to a bunch of government agents. Bingo, you see. I told you she'd come through here eventually. Naruto appeared behind him with a smirk on his face. You were right after all. And here I was, about to knock you out and drag you off to the mansion. It looks like I owe you that next volume of Ika Ika once this is all over. Sanji let out a chuckle. Now let's see. Government officials, some Marines, and Robin-chan. Now how do we get on board so I can rescue this lovely princess? He was about to move when Naruto grabbed his shoulder. Sanji turned to find Naruto grinning at him. Let me handle this part. I'm an old hand at it. He then frowned and pointed out at what he had seen. Crap, this is getting more and more troublesome, let me go it. A bound Usopp yelled as he was carried aboard the sea train by Bluno, who himself was walking behind Khalifa, Kaku, and Rob Lucci, all dressed in black outfits with stern looks on their faces. This isn't a game, brace yourselves. Lucci ordered the Marines and officials who were standing and saluting the Ping group, all hands board the train. Sanji laughed humorlessly as Usopp continued being carried away, and he said he wouldn't cause us any more trouble. Well, this still feels like trouble to me. I fought half of those guys not 7 hours ago. Naruto shook his head and schooled his features. Alright, you can at him for getting himself caught later. Right now we've got to get on this train. I don't think anyone else is coming to help us on this one. I've got your back. After all, I can't let a loyal reader do something like this on his own. Chapter 23. Headfirst slide into the lobby. Water 7 Blue Station aboard the C train. The conductor of the C train entered the car housing the CP9 members Rob Lucci, Kaku, Bluno, and Khalifa. Before speaking, Lucci-san, we will be departing a little early. Is there any problem that you have with that? No, let's leave, Lucci said firmly without any thought to the contrary. For 5 years I've lived on this island. I don't regret leaving this place. The conductor nodded and left the room, heading to another car as he got on the Den Den Mushi that acted as the speaker system in the train. This is the C train's last departure for today. We are now leaving Water 7, destination, Eni's lobby. The brakes of the train released as it began to power up. We are now departing. Nami and Nojiko hopped off of the Yagura Bull. Both girls were riding as it quickly pulled into Blue Station. Let's go, Nami, we're here. Nami nodded and looked back at the animal they had ridden to get there. Thank you, Yagura-chan, she said to the Yagura Bull before following her sister, who seemed to be in better shape than Nami did from the way Nojiko was running. Where do we go, Nojiko? Polly pulled up on his own ride and quickly answered her. Take the stairs down to the middle entrance. That's where you want to go. Both girls immediately followed his instructions and rushed around the station workers, warning them that it was dangerous to be there at the moment before finally making their way to the platform to see the train taking off and leaving Water 7. Nojiko stopped running, catching her breath after the spirited rush that wound up failing in the end. However, Nami refused to give up and chased after the train for as long as there was platform to run on. Robin, get off the train. Wait. Robin, we'll fight them for you, you don't have to go. The sound of the train easily blotted out her yells for Robin, if they would have gotten through to her anyway. Nami dropped to her knees in sorrow. I was too late. Nojiko and Polly walked over, with the shipwright feeling for the girl a bit. I'm sorry. Nojiko looked down the track covered by the ever-rising water level. So now what? There's no way we're getting on that thing now. What are we supposed to do? Hey. One of the station workers called out. You're Polly of the Galila Company. What in the world are you doing here with wounds like that? Nojiko laid her eyes on them and decided to get some information out of them. What was with the train's early departure? I know we made it here in time. That was not 20 minutes. She said cheerily. One of the men nodded. Yes, well, we had finished loading all of the pengers, and this sea storm is going to be incredible. It looks as if the Aqua Laguna is going to come through here any second now. It's dangerous to be here right now. Polly nodded and looked at Nojiko, resting a hand on Nami's shoulder as she cried at missing her chance to stop Robin. Hey, I know it's hard to accept, but the train is going to Eni's lobby, and once it leaves it can't be stopped. What he said had absolutely no effect on bettering Nami's mood, getting Nojiko to glare at him. Are you crying? Seriously? Geez. Nami suddenly jumped up and shouted, scaring all of the men and even Nojiko with her shift in attitude. I'm following her. I won't forgive those stupid government officials for strong-arming Robin like this. She turned to Nojiko. Nojiko, can I borrow your ship to go after her? Nojiko shook her head. I can't. We already sent it in to have it worked on. With what Naruto-kun specified to have done to it, it's in no shape to go anywhere at all until it's completely finished, even if we could get it ready to go fast enough. What's with you all of a sudden? Polly asked the seemingly reinvigorated Nami, who ran up to him and grabbed him desperately. Hey. Lend me a boat. Nami asked quickly. A huge, strong boat. Polly, however, was having none of that argument. You want to take a boat out in this kind of sea? Don't be stupid, girl. You don't even know how strong the Aqua Laguna is. Nami shook her head. It doesn't matter, I'll cross it. Polly yelled right back at her. These waves are on a completely different scale than anything you could be thinking of. The sea will be extremely rough from here on out. There's no way any boat would make it out of here in that storm. You'll be sailing right to your death. But Robin is throwing her life away for our sake. Nami replied desperately. Nojiko had been listening to the argument between her sister and Polly closely as she stood behind her. However, for a flash of a moment she saw everyone standing right there at the time getting swept out to sea. By now she knew not to chalk this feeling of hers up to paranoia and immediately grabbed Nami, pulling her away quickly. Everybody move. Polly heard the sound of water crashing and immediately followed suit with the two station workers without a single dispute. Look out. Don't get swept out to sea or you're as good as dead. Nojiko and Polly carried the others up the stairs to a higher level as the waves crashed along the lower part of the station, receding back into the rest of the ocean with the ebb and flow of the tide. That was seriously close. Nojiko nodded as everyone looked at what the wave had done to the lower section. Look at that MIV pillar with the times on it. Nojiko said lowly. The solid wooden pillar had been torn apart by the wave. What kind of freaky storm is this? It happens every year. That would have probably killed us on impact. Polly shook his head. No, that's never happened before, not even once. And the tide is still approaching with the same force. The velocity of the Aqua Laguna is really abnormal. Nami pulled on Polly's sleeve to get his attention. Hey, will Robin be safe aboard that sea train? A nod from the blonde shipwright was her answer. The train should be able to get out of the area just before the surge hits. It would have to be hit directly to do any damage. Normally the surge will just pee it by. Hey, is one of you Nami? A Galila worker yelled as he ran down the steps towards everyone with a note in his hand. There was this letter just sitting in the station square. It must be from one of your friends. Nami raised an eyebrow at the man. A letter. How did you find something that small? The man motioned for her to follow him. Thus she and Nojiko did so and had to facepalm at what they were shown. Idiot. The wall had been painted with a specific message surrounded by hearts and an arrow pointing to the ground where the letter was found. Nami-san, read this. People who aren't Nami don't read it. You're idiots. Nojiko shook her head at the gaudy message as Nami opened up the letter. So what does it say? Nami read it with a dry look on her face. Well, the vast majority of the whole thing is a love letter, so I'm skipping that. Anything important would be at the bottom. P.S. At 11 o'clock I had confirmed that Robin-chan is on the sea train. Naruto and I have decided to board it. Sanji and Naruto-kun got on the train before it left. And Usopp too, and I think that Frankie guy from before as well. Another of the workers reached into his pocket. Here. He handed over a small communication snail. There was also a small Den Den Mushi with the letter as well. Nami continued to read where she left off. There should be more than one Den Den Mushi on board the sea train, so we'll contact you soon. I hope that you will carry this Den Den Mushi with you and think of your beloved Sanji. That was where the letter cut off with a violent skid on the paper dragging down. Sanji probably was speaking out loud as he wrote the letter, and Naruto cracked him one for whatever it was he was about to write next. We've got this one handled, Nami-chan. Me and Chef Boy will have this one handled in no time. That portion of the letter ended with a chibi Naruto head grinning and a thumbs up drawn in next to it. Nami folded the letter up with a new look of determination on her face. Sanji and Naruto-kun are with Robin right now. We should get going too. We'll find a way to get to Eni's lobby without fail. Elsewhere in Water 7, Chopper, accompanied by multiple Galila workers as well as Johnny, Yosaku, and Miss Valentine searched all over the city for wherever Zoro and Luffy had landed after their defeat at the hands of the CP9 members that had left with Nico. Robin, Luffy. Zoro. Where are you both? Yosaku was helping the little reindeer call out for his misplaced crewmates as Johnny kept his eyes peeled for any sign of either of the two. Either a straw hat somewhere, or moss green hair. Something that would give them a clue of where either of them were. Man, where the air they? You said they were thrown out of the mansion. How far did they fly? Soren frowned as he got sick of riding in the Yagura bull alongside one of the Galila workers. You guys can handle this. I'm going to go get Murat and the princess and tell them what we're doing. He jumped up and grabbed a hold of a nearby building with his acid, allowing him to dig a handhold into the wall and climb up. Yosaku started freaking out. What are you doing, you maniac? If you fall into this water you're going to die. Soren turned back and grinned at him. Then I guess I'll just have to keep from falling, won't I? I'll find you guys later. Get Straw Hat and Samurai Boy and I'll catch up. Aboard the sea train back of 7th train car out in the open ocean, Sanji was holding himself and shivering in the back of the train, outside in the middle of the powerful storm with a drenched and limp cigarette in his mouth. I'm totally drenched out here, I can't even smoke. Stop complaining. Naruto said, a hood on his sage coat pulled down over his head. Put it in the back of your mind. We're here now and that's half of the battle. Now all we have to do is find her. Sanji nodded and looked at the train that was barreling through the water. So how are we supposed to be sneaking in here anyway? He looked over at Naruto. Can't you just break the lock and get in or something? Naruto gave him a deadpan look. Breaking the lock isn't exactly stealthy, Sanji. Just wait. We'll get a break or come up with something good. Sanji started snapping at Naruto about how he had a nice toasty jacket with a hood and how he himself was exposed to the elements. Naruto, however, wasn't listening to a word of the perturbed chef's rant as he was alone with his own thoughts at the moment. Come on now, Robin-chan, what did I tell you already? Flashback. Alabasta. 2 days after Crocodile's defeat, Naruto had heard all about the battles that the Straw Hat crew and his own crew had taken part in during the rebellion with the Baroque Works members and had visited the sites of each conflict to get a feel for how the fights went, almost as if he could see the battles in astral projection form. Right now he had worked his way to the ruins outside of the city of Alubarna where Chopper and Usopp had fought Mr. Four and Ms. Merry Christmas. He looked around and saw multiple groundhog holes in the ground. He could almost see the fighting style of the female agent, digging through the ground to launch attacks at Chopper and Usopp. As he continued to look around, he stopped moving about as he caught sight of something that he couldn't chalk up to being a mere figment of his imagination. Well, I know you aren't a hallucination, because you are completely out of place here. Oh, Robin-chan. Robin had a rather sly smile on her face as she sauntered across the sands to Naruto. Oh, Mr. Uzumaki. What are you doing all the way out here away from your crew and the Straw Hats? She shook her head as she got close to him. I guess it doesn't matter since if they were here I doubt I would get this chance to talk to you. Ah, Naruto said in understanding as he grinned at her. You're here to thank me or you? For helping you out when Crocodile turned on you and tried to kill you. It was no problem at all. I always like helping out people that need it, especially pretty girls. I didn't want to survive that, Mr. Uzumaki. Robin said, getting a surprised look out of Naruto. I've been running and running ever since I was a little girl. I'm used to being betrayed and watching entire groups and organizations fall around me, usually just for my involvement in them. She looked up into the sky with her usual smile on her face. You should have just let me be killed. Don't say that, Naruto said, almost angry at how she spoke of herself, and don't you ever smile around me like that. It's completely fake. Before Robin could open her mouth and defend herself, he cut her off. I know, don't ask me why I know, and I won't ask you why you think that way about yourself. It's obvious that you don't want to tell me. Robin frowned at him. I don't like talking about my childhood to others. Even me telling you what my real name was when I did was a major leap for me. Do you know who I am? What they said I've done. Naruto shook his head and Robin let out a bitter laugh. I'm supposed to be the demon child of Ohara. The girl that racked up a 79 million belly bounty when I was just 8 by destroying some of the most powerful parts of the Marines by myself. I'm surprised you don't know who I am. Your bald crewmate knew. Did he attack you? Naruto asked, getting a shake of the head from Robin. Good, but you don't seem like any kind of monster to me, Robin-chan. You're telling me that you've basically been all on your own since you were 8. Robin nodded and looked down. Every time I thought someone was going to help me, or whenever I thought that I had gotten away, I was always betrayed. I'm surprised you aren't trying to take me out now and collect my bounty. Naruto gave her a deadpan look. Yo, 55 million belly bounty right here. Like I would really try turning you in even if I was like that. Naruto walked a little bit closer to her and before lifting his hand up. Robin narrowed her eyes and stepped back, getting Naruto to stop moving towards her as a hand formed on his chest and held his arm in place. I'm not going to hurt you. I swear. Please trust me. You're way more like me than you know. I can't trust you, Robin said to him firmly. Naruto shook his head. Yes you can. But I can't make you trust me. A small smile came to his face, yet. But I'm going to get you to trust me eventually, Nico. Robin. I refuse to have such a beautiful creature like you be so mistrustful, so how about this? You can leave now. I'm not going to tell anyone you were here, and you can do whatever you would like. I'm not going to stop you because I have a feeling we'll meet again, and when we do I hope you'll have a little more trust in me and others. She raised an eyebrow at him. What makes you so sure we'll meet again? Naruto smirked. Well, it's clearly not because I placed a marker of some sort on you that will let me come to your location at any time at a mere whim. Robin began looking around on her person for the mark that he was talking about, so surprised by his comment that the Hana no Mi arm that had been extended from Naruto's chest vanished. Naruto immediately began laughing so hard tears came to his eyes. Oh man, that was good. I can't do that, yet. I'm just playing with you. I just think we'll meet again. He said as he wiped the tears away from his eyes. I like girls like. He took his hands away from his eyes to find that Robin had vanished. He chuckled a bit. That's my kind of woman, one that can disappear on you in the blink of an eye. There wasn't a trace of her presence anywhere. Even her footprints in the sand had vanished with the blowing of the wind. Naruto looked around for a moment trying to pick up any trace of her before blowing a kiss into the air, until the next time. Then Robin-chan, he reached into his coat and pulled out a Hiraishin kunai, and I didn't even get a chance to give her this. He placed it back in his pocket. Oh well, I'll give it to her when I see her again. End flashback. Oh man, this storm is really cooking out here. A voice from inside of the train knocked Naruto back to reality as the back door opened and one of the government agents stepped out between them both, much to both Naruto and Sanji's infinite amusement, especially when he finally noticed that they were there. Kori Shuto Collier shoot. Dynamic entry. Sanji and Naruto both kicked the hapless man, one of them hitting him in the neck, the other in the face. The kicks sent him flying into the train car, alerting all of the agents inside to their combined presence, prompting the men inside to stand up and take aim at the two blondes with their firearms, who the air you two holes. Naruto looked at the men in the room and stopped trying to count them, instead choosing to yell angrily at his and Sanji's odds. How the did they fit so many of these guys in the same car? Kami, they're like sardines in here. I saw those kicks. The same agent shouted accusingly, there's no way you two are civilians. Naruto grinned and bit his thumb. Hey Sanji, they don't know who we are, but they seem to think we're special apparently. Sanji was finally able to light a cigarette and wipe the rainwater from his head. Well, if those are their honest feelings, this is rather awkward. He said casually. It isn't praise. The man yelled at the two men who didn't seem to care less that they were stuck in a room full of hostile government agents on edge. Don't make fun of us. Hey, someone go and report this to Lucci-san at once. Tell them of these two suspicious characters immediately. Wait. Another of the agents said calmly. This isn't the type of thing that should concern CP9. Another man picked up speaking as Sanji continued taking drags of his cigarette and Naruto yawned and picked his ear. Cough. No matter how unorthodox and suspicious these two are, don't be afraid, because in this car I'm here to keep watch. A very tall man standing behind Naruto and Sanji with his legs framing both sides of the door they entered through looked down on them as he bent over and looked down on them. He had white hair and a white beard and was coughing due to the smoke from Sanji's cigarette rising directly into his face. Cough. I am the boxing champion of South Blues Karate Island. Jerry. The other agents on the train car called out in acknowledgement of the man's name. Karate Island, huh? Sanji said before looking to Naruto, who simply shrugged. So to some karate. He said absently, getting gasps of shock from the other agents in the car. The man grit his teeth and began launching rapid punches at the two blondes with his hands, covered with boxing gloves. However, Naruto and Sanji simply moved out of the way and dodged him through his legs, getting behind him. All that Jerry hit with his punches were other agents that were in the way. They escaped. He looked between his legs at the two men behind his standing on the chairs. Youngsters, I'm saying this because I'm a big man. If you think I'm at a disadvantage in this small car, you're mistaken. Sanji didn't seem too concerned at all. This is the first time that I've ever been warned by someone while between their thighs. Naruto grinned over at his fellow blonde. Well then, my friend, you have yet to truly live. Sanji caught Naruto's illusion and grinned lecherously at his implication. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Jerry growled at being ignored by the two. My boxing has the advantage in such a small space. This is yoga style. He sat down and crossed his legs behind his head and began throwing punches that unfortunately hampered the reach of his attacks due to his legs being in the way. Yoga 1 to 2. 1 to 2. Naruto palmed his face and Sanji yelled at the man. Your reach just got shorter, you idiot. Jerry narrowed his eyes. Is that so? He launched himself at Sanji in a twisting motion, screw drop kick. Sanji just yelled at him again. The fight just started and you're already ignoring the rules of boxing. He sighed and blew out more smoke. This is a waste of my time. He jumped over the screw drop kick, brochette skewer. He spun around like a screw and drove one leg right into Jerry's face, defeating him immediately. The remaining agents in the car looked at Sanji in pure fear as he stood up and dusted his pants off indifferently, walking over to Naruto, who had his arm outstretched. Sanji slapped his open palm and walked past him to take a seat and enjoy his cigarette. Tag. Naruto grinned darkly and cracked his knuckles, radiating killing intent at the petrified remaining generic agents. Now who doesn't need to call for CP9 or whatever you call them? Water 7, it hadn't taken very long for Soren to find Vivi and Murat and link back up with all of the others, plus Nami, Nojiko, and Polly who had found them after coming from Blue Station to East and finding Luffy and Zoro. Where are they at? Miss Valentine asked in exasperation. We're never going to catch up to Naruto and Sanji at this rate, how hard could it be to find them? She looked at Nami. You're sure that this is the direction that they flew in, right? Nami nodded as everyone else kept calling out to the two missing pirates. Absolutely. I definitely saw them fly this way. Now where are those supplies I asked for? We're really going to need them to find Zoro and Luffy. Chopper was in his walk point with a concerned look on his face. This is bad. Even when it's normal my nose doesn't work well in windy places, and now it's raining too. Vivi looked at the blonde cook of the ship she inhabited. Miss Valentine, why don't you float up and check from the sky? Miss Valentine shook her head. Not a single laugh came from her at the prospect of doing such. I'll just be blown away far from here. You can feel this wind, don't you? I had to increase my natural weight a bit just to make sure I don't lose my footing. Nojiko was atop the roofs with her scoped rifle out in order to search for either Luffy or Zoro as she scanned the lower levels of Water 7 alongside Soren to keep her from falling due to the wind. She gasped at a certain sight she got in her sights. Soren, if the water recedes like all the way, what does that mean? Soren paled. That means that we're screwed, because the water's going to come back in a big wave, Nojiko. He looked around the lower level of the city and sighed in relief. We should be decently safe all the way up here though. And of course as luck would have it we wouldn't be able to stay up here, Nojiko said to him with an annoyed look on her face as she found the Straw Hat Captain in rather dire straits, because Luffy is stuck down there between a building. Hey Nami. She yelled down to her sister. Follow me to get to Luffy. She motioned to Soren. Take me down there please. Soren rolled his eyes and picked her up piggyback style. Yes Mistress Nojiko. He said, getting a light slap on the back of his shoulder as he took off running on the rooftops before jumping down to a lower lever, sliding down the wall with his acid nails to slow the descent. What? I have a very good chance at drowning once those waves come back. I can afford to be snippy with you. He let Nojiko off of his back as they both ran along the rooftops to reach Luffy. Nami tried to match Nojiko and Soren's pace as she ran down the large set of steps while the Galila workers yelled after them to come back before the wave hit. She jumped from the stairs to a roof and ran along them much like Nojiko and Soren were doing. Meanwhile, the workers and the remaining members of the more or less allied pirate crews watched them head for Luffy. Vivi looked at the other buildings on the lower level and saw a pair of legs in black pants sticking out of a chimney. Look. Legs. Murat looked over as well, trying her hardest to see what Vivi was talking about, and pointed when she did. Yeah, and is that a sash? Who is that? Zoro and Ikki. Chopper, Johnny and Yosaku took off to help free the swordsman from his trapped position as well, heading down to the lower level like Nami, Nojiko, and Soren. We'll get you out. They yelled as they hightailed it over to his building, Chopper transforming into his heavy point form and grabbing a hold of Zoro's legs. Chopper was trying in vain to pull Zoro out of the chimney. Ow. You're going to pull me apart, Chopper. Chopper let go of his legs in his human form and began to panic. The wave is coming. How are we going to get him out of here? Yosaku grabbed Kubikirabucho from his back and moved Chopper away. I wonder how deep down in the chimney he is. Oh well. We're going to find out. What are you going to do? Johnny asked as his oldest friend drew his Miv cleaver blade back with intent to swing. That's not going to get him out of there, you know. Chopper looked at Yosaku, who was measuring his swow at the chimney, with a measure of fear as the swordsman spoke nonchalantly. Yeah, but Chopper here can carry him back to the upper level and we can get him out like one of those finger trap puzzle things. Now both of you get out of the way. Wait. Zoro said nervously. What the is about to happen? Nothing much, Zoro and Ikki. Just hold still. Kubikiri Iktu, decapitating single stroke. Yosaku swung the Miv sword and cut clean through the roof of the building and part of the chimney, cutting it off. Chopper quickly grabbed it before it could slide off and fall to the ground. Yes. I'm just as awesome as I thought I was. He said, absently slashing at the chimney again, freeing Zoro with the second vertical stroke. Where the did you get that thing? Zoro asked once he got an eye full of Kubikirabucho, until he was thrown over Chopper's shoulder as he ran away. Wait. I need to get a closer look. Chopper, get off of me. Yosaku laughed and hooked the blade back up on his back before leaving as well. Jerk. Johnny said, I wish I had an awesome, super cool sword like that. He quickly followed Chopper, who was leaving the lower levels with Zoro in tow alongside Yosaku. With Soren, Nojiko, and Nami. Nami stopped as a MIB gap separated herself and the others from Luffy, who was caught firmly between two MIB buildings. This is no good. I can't go any further than this and he's stuck. She grit her teeth and began yelling, Luffy. What are you doing up there, you moron? Nojiko tapped Soren on the shoulder. Can you reach him from here? Soren looked at the distance and shook his head. With this distance and this wind, I would miss him entirely. The wind would just blow it away before it hit the building. Nami. Luffy said in a muffled voice due to his rubber body being squished by the buildings, is that you? Geez, listen to me, that pigeon guy threw me and so I flew and got stuck in this convenient spot. He said sarcastically. Don't try joking at a time like this. Nami yelled over the storm to him as tears gathered in her eyes. While you were stuck down here, Robin was taken away. For all of our sakes, Robin, she's going to sacrifice her life. Nojiko and Soren looked at her in shock. What? Nami, what are you talking about? Nami began to cry as she explained. Robin sacrificed herself for us. She protected us from being attacked by the world government. Even though she knew she might be killed. So Robin was lying after all. Luffy yelled in realization, thank goodness. Soren looked rather fearfully at the ocean as the MIB wave of the Aqua Laguna was getting closer and closer. We are screwed. Come on already, Straw Hat. If you're going to do something, now would be the time. In response, the buildings that Luffy had been trapped between started creaking. What the? After a moment, the buildings collapsed as Luffy actually pushed them apart with brute force. Come on Nami, let's go. He reached out and wrapped an arm around her and used his other hand to grab a tall building a distance away, allowing them to slingshot to safety. That's our cue. Soren scooped Nojiko back up piggyback and ran towards the wall, grabbing it once more with his acid claw fingers and climbing swiftly and getting them to the upper level just before the waves hit the wall with crushing force. Man, I need a cold beer and a burger. Soren said, sprawling out on the ground next to all of the others that had made it back to the safe part of the stairs once he and Nojiko were safe. Nojiko gave him a pat on the back for his trouble and a grateful smile. Thank you, Soren. The waves then hit the stairs with intense force, cracking off a segment and pulling them into the water. Before they could fall into the water, they were grabbed by ropes that wrapped tightly around them that kept them safe. Luffy shouted before the section of stairs they were on started crumbling too. Never mind. Run. They all got up and hightailed it away from the powerful waters of the Aqua Laguna, narrowly avoiding the water dragging them all back into the ocean. Soren turned around once they were absolutely sure that they weren't going to be getting any more nasty surprises from the storm and laughed maniacally while effing off the sea with both hands. You nature. I rule you with an iron fist. You can take your freaky, super strong storms and you can kiss my because I ain't getting taken out by a little baby flash flood. Is he alright? Chopper asked the others as Zoro tried to pry the frightened little reindeer who had transformed back into Brain Point from his face. I'm not really a mental doctor so I can't tell. Luffy huffed and puffed in exhaustion. Thanks for all of the help, rope guy. We needed it back there. You're all insane. Polly yelled at them as he caught his own breath. Nami was holding her chest as her heart was still beating rapidly. That was so terrifying. That was Aqua Laguna. Nojiko was checking all of her guns to make sure none of them were waterlogged as her eyebrow twitched in seething anger. I'm saying this once. I haven't complained once about this ing place since Naruto-kun made us take the calm belt, but it needs to be said right now. I hate the God Grand Line. I hate this place. All of the weird people and weird that tries to kill us every single day. I hate this place. She screamed at the top of her lungs before taking a series of deep calming breaths and standing back up. Okay, I'm good now. Johnny slapped the side of his head to get the water out of his ears. Was that your obligated mental breakdown into Crazy Town, Nojiko Ainu? It took you long enough. I am not crazy, Johnny. Nojiko urged firmly. It needed to be said. That's all. The storm isn't like that every year. Polly explained to the others. If it were, the island would be gone by now. It's abnormally strong this year. Luffy stood up and looked down at Polly. Hey rope guy. Give us a boat to borrow. Your strongest, fastest ship. We need to go after Robin. Polly stood up himself and yelled at Luffy, are you all brain dead or something? You just saw the storm. Nothing could sail through the normal Aqua Laguna. Even if we give you the biggest ship we have, it'll still be torn to pieces against these monster waves. I'm not giving you a ship so you can die out there. He sighed, relenting at losing his cool. I'll give you a ship in the morning. For now everyone to the shelters, the search is over. Won't that be too late? Nami asked, concerned. I know what kind of place Enies lobby is. Isn't that where the Gate of Justice is? Luffy blinked in confusion. What's that? Nojiko shivered as she had a flashback. Don't remind me. Naruto-kun was about to make us try and go through one just to get around faster. She looked at Luffy. Enies lobby is the judicial island of the world government. But no one taken there ever really comes back. Once a criminal goes through the Gate of Justice they don't come back. Nami nodded and continued, there are only two places you can go from there. The Heart of Justice, Marineford, and the island filled to the brim with the most dangerous criminals in the entire world, the Great Prison of the Seas, Impel Down. Soren shivered at the mention of the place, but there isn't going to be a trial, it's a judicial island in name alone. Robin is a criminal and no matter what they're not going to let her go. So how can we possibly wait until morning? Are you done? Polly said after Nami was through yelling, because even if the sea calms for long enough you still shouldn't go there. You're all pirates yourselves. Enies lobby is the front door to the government. Do you plan to go there all alone and wage war right under the world government's nose? The rest of the gathered Galila workers started voicing their opinions, roughly coinciding with Polly's doubt of their ability to go and survive. Well, in that case, Luffy said lowly before getting into a fighting stance against all of them, we'll just take one by force. We're leaving now. We have friends waiting for us out there. Don't try getting in our way. Before Luffy and all of the others could begin fighting with Polly and the workers, a voice called out. Hold it right there. An old woman in a conductor's outfit said, stopping them all, Polly's right, Straw Hat, you're not thinking straight. If we let you go like this you'll die before you even get close to the island. If anything can survive Aqua Laguna it's the legendary sea train. Miss Valentine had her umbrella out to block the rainfall from coming down on her as she placed a hand on her hip. Well, what exactly can we even do about that? We only have the option of using a ship. The train left already. The old woman turned and began walking away. Follow me and I'll start the sea train for you. With Naruto and Sanji inside 6th train car, Sanji finished knocking out the last of the agents stationed in that car with a single spinning kick to the neck, collier fried neck. The force of the kick knocked the poor victim up through the roof of the car, leaving his head sticking out in the storm. Usopp looked at the two in shock. Sanji. Naruto. What are you two doing on the train? Naruto, done beating up agents to his heart's content, noticed Usopp and waved gleefully at him while Sanji spared him a cool glance. Actually, that's what I'd ask you but I don't know your name. He said, lying terribly. Something blatant to Usopp who simply looked at him dryly from his tied-up position. Woo, there's a few den mushi in here. I guess this place doubles as the communications room. I can finally contact Nami-san. A man beside Usopp with a blue pompadourish haircut that looked around 7 feet tall, even completely tied up, his body completely bound, wriggled in his bonds. The guys from before mostly had useless crap-like costumes and masks. Naruto looked at the snails meant for communication and grabbed one, placing it in one of his inside pockets. I'm taking one of these things. He said, patting his pocket with a smile on his face. Where did you fit that? Usopp asked, as there wasn't even a bulge in his coat pocket from putting the den mushi the size of his head in there. Naruto looked at him and blinked. Hammer space. No need to tell him that his pockets were lined with storage seals where he kept his weapons and other things. No need at all. Frankie looked at all of them suspiciously. So you're all pirate comrades? Were. Usopp and Sanji said simultaneously before the chef added something else. Who the are you? He said to Frankie. Naruto pointed at himself. I'm a friend of both of these idiots. But I have to agree with Sanji. Who the are you? I'm the hidden boss of Water 7. The man said, Frankie. He was then flattened by a kick from Sanji and a punch from Naruto. You bastard. Sanji said angrily. You sure did a number on our long-nosed buddy back then. Usopp tried coming to Franky's defense but was tied up. Hey. Wait a minute. A lot's happened since then. Naruto raised an eyebrow. It was yesterday. What could have possibly happened? He saved going Mary. Usopp explained before he remembered something. Oh man, Mary. Franky looked over at the dejected sniper. Hey, don't get all depressed. Now isn't the time. Could one of you please just get me out of this? Why would I do that? Sanji yelled at him. You should stay that way until you rot for stealing all of our money like that. They began to argue, alarming Naruto and Usopp, who could both tell how loud they were. Guys, calm down. Usopp said fearfully. If you don't hurry up and stop it, we'll be caught here. He was silenced when he was suddenly cut loose by Naruto, as was Franky, as they were both picked up seemingly effortlessly by Naruto. Naruto, what are you doing? Sanji yelled at Naruto before he found himself picked up by one of Naruto's cage Bunshin, who then followed its creator out of the car and onto the roof just as a group of Marines came into the room. Naruto looked at Sanji intently as his clone dispelled and all of the others held on tight to the train car. Naruto, sticking with his chakra in a crouch, call Nami and tell her what's going on. Sanji nodded and called her up on the Den Den Mushi. Nami-san. Nami. Can you hear me? Because of two idiots here with us, the situation is getting kind of heated out here. Hi Nami-chan. Naruto yelled gleefully. We're fine, Sanji's just getting all dramatic. Sanji waited for a moment as she spoke. I see, so that's why she went with them. To protect us. Hearing Nami explain that Robin went with the government to protect the Straw Hats brought something of a small smile to Naruto's face before Sanji started speaking again. Robin is still with them though. He waited again and smirked. Right to the point, aren't you, Luffy? Fine, we'll kick their ass. Naruto stood straight up in the midst of the storm, ignoring the wind and the water. Fine then. I don't have a problem with that. Let's go. Franky smirked. Well, I guess I'll help you too. If the world government has a problem with Nico Robin, then it's my problem as well. After all, I'm stuck in this too. And after that moving story, he trailed off starting to cry. And Naruto and Sanji had to fight off the heebie-jeebies because there was something wrong with watching a grown man in a Speedo and a Hawaiian shirt cry. Come on, long-nosed guy. Let's go. I'm not going. Usopp said. It's got nothing to do with me. You guys will be fighting directly with the world government and you're going to meet up with Luffy, right? Besides, you guys have Naruto here. He could probably do this all by himself. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Well, maybe yeah, I could. Usopp continued speaking. After saying the things that I did in front of everyone, I couldn't possibly rejoin you guys. I'm grateful to Robin, but it's not my duty to save her. He started walking back away from them all on the top of the cars. Goodbye. Sanji turned away from Usopp. Fine. Forget it then. Naruto nodded and raised an eyebrow. Where is he going to go? We're stuck on the train. He turned to the side of the car where a Marine was poking his head through the window looking right at them. Crap. The man was suddenly hit in the side of the head with a small projectile. He told me everything. A figure said from a ways down the train. I heard you were on your way to East, a defenseless girl, so I'll help you for free. My name is Sogeking. It was Usopp in a masquerade mask and cape. Naruto, Sanji, and Franky looked at him as if he were insane as he began to sing some strange superhero theme song. Naruto pointed dully at him. What in the happened to him? Did he land on his head when he was leaving? He shook off the thought. Meh, who cares? Oi. Get over here already so we can do this. He yelled, getting Usopp, Sogeking over to the others. Now check it out. I have no idea which car Robin-chan is on, but we still have 5 more to search, and then when we get here there are going to be a ton of people we'll have to fight. He lightly tapped the top of the car. These things are narrow and it's kind of hard to maneuver in them, so we should avoid fights with all of the chumps and worry about the ones that could actually be some trouble. Sanji smiled. I think I have a plan. I heard them talking about the 7th car. So? Naruto said questioningly. Sanji held up a finger telling him to wait a moment and dragged Usopp off with him to go through with his plan. After a moment, Naruto heard the sounds of troops inside charging towards the back car, and then shortly after that he heard the sounds of a distant car detach from the rest of the train, and then the one he was standing on, forcing him to jump off to the next one. At that point he heard the sounds of fighting inside of the car he was on and he jumped straight inside of it to find the agents. They're already beaten. What did you guys do? Sanji shrugged. A lot of things. Come on, we only have a few more cars left. Naruto sighed at being left out of the loop and sadly followed them into the next car where they were immediately greeted with someone in a kitchen section of the train. A man with fluffy white hair, buck teeth, a yellow scarf, an unbuttoned black shirt, black pants, and roller skates was pushing a cart of food, while he ran on the walls and ceiling yelling his name repeatedly. Naruto's eye twitched. How is he doing that without chakra? He then started sniffing the air as if he had pinpointed a long-lost scent. Wait a minute, I know what that smell is. The man stopped in front of them with a stupid smile on his face. Hey guys. I'm Wanz. Since I'm the head chef I can make you anything. You want some ramen? He asked. Naruto's face went blank. What? Did I get hit in the head or something? Or did this guy just say that he had ramen? Then ramen you shall have. Wanz said excitedly, but before that I've got a bit of something I want you to know first. Naruto finally got back to reality after punching himself in the face hard enough that he had to reset his nose, freaking out Sanji, Frankie, and Usopp. Realizing that nothing had changed, Naruto immediately ran to the cart and dropped to his knees with a miv grin on his face. Yes. Yes. Whatever you want to say as long as I get some ramen. It's been over 7 months. You're my hero. Wanz smiled at Naruto. It's my nose hairs. He put a wad of dough in his mouth and spoke. First I put the wheat flour in my mouth, then I knead it well. He said while chewing it before straining hard as he forced it out of his nose in noodle form into a bowl, pouring boiling water in it as well. The look on Naruto's face fell faster than a stone from the sky. Well go on, dig in. Naruto stood straight up with the blankest look on his face before it morphed into one of pure anger. You son of a... I'll kill you. Naruto had to be held back by all three of them. Had Frankie not been there they wouldn't have been able to do it at all. How dare you? I go for the better part of a year without ramen and then you do this. I don't know what to say about what you just did. Sanji strained to east in holding his fellow blonde back. God, he's like a bull. Sorry Wanz, but we're kind of in a hurry so we'll have to go, we're keeping someone waiting. Calm down Naruto, it's just ramen. We still have to save Robin-chan, remember? Naruto was still raging. There's no such thing as just ramen Sanji. Let me go. He has to suffer. I'll Rasenshuriken his back to the Stone Age. Naruto finally stopped to everyone else's relief and pointed at Wanz with a shaky arm. You are not getting off that easily. We're gonna come back through here, and I'm going to tear you apart. But right now we've got something, he strained to say the next words, more important than ramen to take care of. Wait. Wanz said, if you want to go through this car you have to get through me. And that was all he needed to say as he found a fist in his face from Naruto who was all too eager for an excuse to go right through him to get to the next car. Naruto had an evil grin on his face. I was so hoping you'd say that. He watched Wanz get back up with a bloody from taking the punch. I'm going to savor this beatdown more than I have any other in a long time. His face darkened. No one does that to ramen. You barbarians. First of all it took me forever to find some ramen, and then I see this guy here pulling it out of his nose. It makes me want to puke. Wiping the blood from his nose, Wanz's smile never left his face, despite being punched in the face not 20 seconds prior. I'm here for just this kind of situation. If you want to get past me and free the prisoners you'll have to defeat my ramen Kenpo first. Gladly. Naruto said before turning to the others, stay out of this. This is between me and this guy. A battle for the sanctity and honor of ramen. This is by and large one of the top 3 most important fights I've ever had. Sanji rolled his eyes. I don't see what's so great about noodles and water. He balked at the killing intent from Naruto and backed away. I mean, go get him Naruto. You can't let him treat ramen that way. Such a scary feeling. Wanz said as he looked at Naruto. He sounded sincere, but with the never-changing stupid look on his face it sure didn't look like he had meant it. Naruto's eye twitched. It was scary. It was killing intent. It was supposed to be scary. All of you go to the next car so I can freely kick his all over the place. I won't let you. Wanz said in a sing-song voice as he put more dough into his mouth and covered one nosehole, ramen bean. He started shooting rapid needles of sharpened ramen at Naruto and the others who all dodged. This is just pissing me off more and more. Naruto yelled as he kept out of the line of fire. Sanji did the same. Would you believe that it's making me mad too? This guy's no real chef. Naruto pulled out a kunai and channeled wind chakra to it so that it would cut through Wanz's rapid fire attack. Stop doing that already, he said as he threw it, forcing Wanz to stop shooting as he had to dodge. Usopp and Frankie moved towards the window. We'll go to the next one from the top. Naruto nodded and looked at Sanji, who was still standing there. Well, aren't you going to go too? Sanji shook his head. No way. This guy gives chefs a bad name. If you're going to stay and fight him over your ramen, I'm going to stay over the occupation he's making a mockery of. Fine, Naruto said as he threw a kick at Wanz, who backbit away and stuck to the wall. Stop dodging and take your kicking like a man. And how the air you sticking to the wall? Only I can do that. Take this. Wanz yelled. Menkiri, ramen cutting. His bladed skates caught on fire as he jumped off of the wall and threw a flaming kick at Naruto, who growled at the slow attack and grabbed him by the ankle, slamming him repeatedly to the left and right into the dishes and the stoves and the like before throwing him away. Wanz showed some durability by standing back up even though he was bleeding from the nose and mouth. You blocked my attack with one arm and threw me all over the car. Are you secretly super strong? Naruto looked at Sanji and back at Wanz. Well, it's not really a secret. Everyone knows that I'm strong. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, Wanz said before his eyes widened. He was about to yell in horror until he stopped himself. Yeah, right. You're not Uzumaki Naruto. The real Uzumaki Naruto would have ripped this train from the tracks by now. He controls the oceans, you know. Naruto got an angry look from Sanji when he remembered that Naruto could do stuff like that. What the? That's right, you hole. You could have done that this entire time. Naruto yelled right back at him. Oi. And then what exactly would we do? Do you know how to swim in the storm going on out there? I can't walk on that. And if I knock the train off of the tracks, then Robin-chan would drown. She can't swim in normal seawater with the devil fruit powers, you moron. While Naruto and Sanji took turns screaming at each other and the attention was off of him, Wanz pulled mounds and mounds of ramen together around his body, finally coming up with ramen battle armor. Now it's time for my awesome, edible battle suit. Ramen Kenpu Ugi. Men Saiso Ramen Kenpo Ultimate Technique. Ramen Formal Suit. Sanji shook his head. How can he disgrace food like that? Naruto's eyes lit up in glee. It's alright as long as he still eats it, Sanji. Gah. That's so awesome. He thought about walking around in his own personalized ramen clothing before he remembered where the ramen came from. Wait, that's still gross though. Give me the real, formal recipe for ramen so my sweet Valentine can make it for me and I won't beat you ugly. Otherwise kiss your noodle booger picking goodbye. Wanz simply laughed. You can't touch me now. In this suit my speed, strength, and special attacks are all drastically improved. Sanji scratched his head and spoke in a puzzled tone. How? Naruto gave Sanji a lecturing look. Ramen is magical, Sanji. Don't ask how. That's not the right question. Very true, brother. Wanz said, ignoring Naruto's righteously angered cry of, I'm not your brother, Dadbayo, and Sanji's laughter at it. Now take this. Tonkatsu Tataku, Tonkatsu Spank. He threw a straight punch at Sanji, who simply sneered at it. The cook blocked the kick with his foot. What's with this? All you did was get bigger. Your punches are still as weak as. He then found himself stuck to the ramen arm and wound up eating an actual punch from the insane cook. Surprised by my ramen kenpo, are you? Wanz asked while laughing. Now I'm going to get you two back for earlier. He spoke before Sanji's body disappeared in a puff of smoke and was replaced by an extremely large pot. Huh. Naruto was behind Wanz, having used Kawarimi to free Sanji from the noodle grip of Wanz and was dusting the cook off. Wanz jumped at both of them with his entire body. Mentamashi o Oshimasu Ramen Soul Press. Naruto looked at the M of ramen in armored form flying at him and had flashbacks to the dreams of a similar nature in his youth as he jumped right towards it, arms wide open and intent on living out at least one long-standing dream of years past. He was about to open his mouth to take a huge bite before once again he realized exactly where this ramen had been and what it had been doing. Gasp, you bastard. How dare you do this to Ram? He was cut off as he and Sanji were both smashed into the ground with a huge body press. Ow. Wan stood over Naruto and Sanji's bodies as he did a small victory dance. How do you like my ramen kenpo now? It's still S. Both Sanji and Naruto yelled from their backs before kipping up back to their feet, looking no worse for wear. Naruto once again had a displeased look on his face. I am going to hurt you, badly. He hissed lowly, that should have been a dream come true for me, and you made it into a nightmare, and an attack. Ramen would never hurt me. You're evil. You're an evil, evil man, using ramen for your twisted purposes. Ramen should be used for all to enjoy, not as a weapon. Ramen is supposed to make people happy, not cause them pain. Sanji put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Food should never be used as a weapon. Naruto pointed at Wanz and repeated after Sanji, food should never be used as a weapon. Least of all ramen. This ends now. Naruto held out his hand and formed a swirling blue ball of energy before Naruto added a second hand over the top of it, coating it in a white buzzsaw-looking blade as he ran at Wanz. I'm sorry ramen. Forgive me. Futen. Rasengan, wind release. Rasengan. Fukuman Tataku, double noodle spank. Wanz sent both of his ramen arms at Naruto just as Naruto thrusted the wind-layered Rasengan at him. The small unassuming orb cut right through the ramen like nothing. Believing himself to be dead, he closed his eyes, however was simply dropped to the ground as his armor lay on the floor in tatters. Wah. I'm not dead. Naruto had tears in his eyes. I'm sorry ramen, I love you. He then glared at Wanz. Of course you're not dead. I would never taint the ramen any further with your blood. Now give me the recipe for ramen. I can't make it to save my life and I can't teach Miss Valentine to make it off of pure memory. All I need are the basics and I can have some Ichiraku ramen again, or at least something close. Wanz shook in fear at Naruto and grabbed a nearby set of kitchen knives that he threw at Naruto. Much to Sanji's chagrin, however, Naruto simply blurred from his position and threw a high front kick that was directed upwards. Konoha Shufu, leaf rising wind. The kick planted directly under Wanz's face and knocked him headfirst into the air vent in the kitchen, dropping him back onto the ground, standing and dazed. Why? Wanz asked as he staggered about. Why are you trying to save that woman Nico Robin? You probably don't even know her true nature. He was doubled over when Naruto deposited a hard fist to his stomach, forcing him to back up while holding it. Everyone knows that she's the devil's child. Konoha Senpu, leaf whirlwind. Naruto launched a low kick that hit Wanz in the body again before spinning through and kicking him in the face, releasing a spray of blood from his mouth as he sent him flying into a pile of dishes, breaking them on the floor. You shut up about Robin-chan. You don't know anything about her, so suggest you just stop talking and fall down now. My face. Wanz said as he got a look at himself in the reflection of one of the dishes. He now had a rather fetching appearance, however he didn't see it that way and pulled out a long kitchen knife with poison on the blade. I'll kill you now. That woman is deceiving you. She survived by betraying her friends over and over, and you'll be next. I said shut the up. Naruto said as he ran forward at Wanz. Wanz took a swing at him with his blade, but Naruto simply drew his arm back as the outline of a fox covered his arm in red chakra. He dodged the sword strike and hit him in the neck with his bicep and the inside of his elbow full force. Rariato, lariat. The power of the hit sent Wanz flying, forcing Sanji to dodge as his body crashed through the door and the other door behind it, flying into the car inhabited by CP9, who all looked impotently at the body that had just crashed in front of them. At the same moment, Frankie fell through the roof of the same car with a beaten man that had the facial features of a weasel. He looked back and kicked the unconscious man he had defeated over towards where Wanz had landed. So you beat the ramen guy. Naruto nodded and looked at the members of CP9 with a feral grin. Hey there. How's my ship coming along, if you could tell me? It's so noisy now. Khalifa said in response to all of the ruckus that had just happened. Bluno looked at the doorway where Naruto, Sanji, and Frankie were, so all of the other marines escorting us were beaten. Kaku shrugged. Well, we didn't expect too much of them in the first place after all. Nero regained consciousness and was glaring murder at Frankie when Rob Lucci called to him, "Hey, new guy." Nero looked up at the powerful leader of the group. Oh there. Don't worry, I'll kill that weird guy with the blue hair in just a second. You're supposed to catch him, but you let your emotions get the better of you. Lucci said plainly, you have 3 seconds to run. He said, getting a look of disbelief from the young member until he started counting down. prompting him to vanish in his speed technique. 3, 2, 1. Lucci then immediately caught up to him and stabbed him in the back with nothing more than his finger before throwing him off of the train. You half-ed, worthless trash. And you call yourself a member of CP9. You have to master all 6 forms of our style before you can claim to be one of us trash. He then looked at his teammates. Khalifa, on the report put that the new guy was too weak. He was worthless to us. Understood. She said without an argument. Sanji narrowed his eyes at them. These are the agents of justice. They're way more evil than us. Lucci then turned his attention to the new arrivals. What are you? Forget it, I don't need to ask. From the way you opened the door I can guess why you're here. If you're here for Nico Robin, just give up now. Her problem is beyond your understanding. There are some people in the world better off dead. And I'm looking at one. Naruto said darkly. What are you going to say, huh? That Robin needs to die. That she's a monster. Who do you think you idiots are? Lucci's eyes rested on Naruto. We should eliminate her for the sake of the people of this world. She has the power to destroy the world. Now she's a criminal with a much deeper history, but before all of that she'd already sinned by her very existence. Lucci then had to place his hand up to catch a kunai that was thrown directly at him, however it didn't go the way he thought it would when he looked at the blood coming from his hand. What? I had Tekai Iron M active and he still cut me. Naruto narrowed his eyes. That should have taken some fingers off if not the entire hand. I put wind chakra behind that one. This guy is no joke. With the stalemate on the attempted attack and defense, Lucci continued speaking. Only her death can bring safety and happiness to others. She has no choice but to accept her fate. She should have died 20 years ago, and now before it's too late she must die for the sake of the world. Sanji ran forward and threw a kick that was blocked by Lucci's forearm, but it will probably take the government a few years to harvest all of her knowledge and experiences. But then the woman will die in whatever horrible manner. In your dreams. Sanji yelled at him. Sanji, get back. Naruto shouted at him with authority. Didn't you just see him punch a hole in that other guy and block my kunai with his hand? Don't rush in blindly or you're a dead man. Wait, don't go in there, Robin. Usopp's voice sounded out from the car the furthest along. She walked into the car and looked over everyone standing there, and an overjoyed Sanji called out to her, Robin. I'm so glad you're okay. Did they do anything to you? Her eyes rested on Naruto, who grinned at her and pointed in a gun motion at her. I told you we'd meet up again, Robin-chan. So do you trust me yet? Because I'm about to get you out of here in a flash. Just let us beat these guys really quick. A frown crossed her face, and in the blink of an eye a multitude of her hands hit Usopp and knocked him over towards Naruto, Sanji, and Frankie. It seems that words are meaningless to you people. No. Naruto said firmly to her, getting a gasp of shock from her. No, you don't get a choice. Remember that cute little note you left me on my ship? I'm supposed to be responsible for you still being alive. Well, I'm taking responsibility for it, and so is Luffy. Usopp got up and pulled out a smoke bomb. Frankie, cut the third car now. Why? Naruto and Sanji yelled. So we can get away. He yelled back at them as he dropped it onto the ground, filling the room in smoke. From the smoke at the end of the car he jumped out, carrying Robin under his arm, because we've got her. Naruto and Sanji's faces turned from faces of outrage to faces of elation. That's awesome. They both escaped with Frankie and Usopp as the large man detached the cars. How do you do that, man? Naruto asked him. Oh, I'm a cyborg. Frankie said, getting Naruto to stare at him. What? Naruto realized he had been staring and broke it off. Oh, sorry. It's nothing. He then looked at everyone in the room. Wait, that was too easy. He looked out at the car that they had detached from and found that they were still stuck to the other car by thorn whips. Naruto had a kunai emerge from his sleeve and was preparing to cut them when Bluno grabbed hold of them and sharply pulled them back, slamming the cars harshly together. Got him. The large man with the bull-looking haircut said as he and all of the other C9 members stepped into the car. Naruto thought to himself, 4 of them on all of us. None of these guys are pushovers, especially that Kaku and Rob Lucci guy, and we have to worry about Robin bugging out and leaving. And I'm stuck in this puny little car. I need space to maneuver and dodge to fight better. I'm going to be taking a few hits in this one. It's time to push these cars back apart. Sanji said as he ran up to Bluno and kicked the large man in the chest, his body not moving. What's with this toughness? Frankie yelled to the cook, "They have a weird fighting style." Sanji pivoted on his hand and spun around rapidly on one arm before delivering a heavy kick to Bluno's face, Const Crush. The kick was hard enough to almost injure him through his defensive technique. Seeing that put a smirk on Naruto's face, so if I can muster enough brute force I can just muscle my way through their stupid toughness technique. That's good to know. Naruto followed up and jumped at the large man, spinning his body rapidly, almost turning to a mini whirlwind, Konoha Goriki Senpu, Leaf Strong Whirlwind. Naruto's kick bounced off of Bluno's face and sent him sliding back to the other members of his team with a bruise on his face. Ocho Fleur. Clutch 8 Flower. Clutch. Naruto and Sanji turned around to see Usopp bound and held by Robin's Hana no Mi arms, prompting the two blonde men to turn around abruptly. "Robin-chan, what are you doing? How many times do I have to tell you to stay out of my business?" She yelled at them. "And how many times do I have to tell you?" Naruto yelled back, "When are you going to trust in people? We came all of this way for you. Believe that we can beat these guys and let us help you. You should watch your opponents." Kaku said as he launched a blind attack at Sanji, catching him in the face with a hard kick. Frankie said at seeing Sanji knocked back, "You guys are so stubborn with wanting to protect your comrades, well here's your chance." He ran at the CP9 car and jumped at it fearlessly, unhooking it from the back car that the others were in. "You guys don't worry about me. When you link up with Straw Hat just get back to town." "That wasn't necessary, you idiot." Naruto yelled at him. Robin yelled at the cyborg, "Frankie, what are you doing? I'm not trying to escape." Sanji turned to Robin, a nasty bruise forming on his head from the damage he took. "Robin-chan, we've come this far to get you. What are you saying? We always knew the situation and came to get you. It doesn't matter if there's a buster call, we can handle it. Why won't you just come with us? The buster call is the problem." A voice said behind Sanji, revealing it to be Bluno, opening a door to seemingly nowhere unnaturally. "Renkyaku, Storm Leg." He threw a kick so fast it seemed to cut into Sanji, sending him flying into a wall. "These guys are good," Naruto thought to himself, gritting his teeth. "I think I'm going to really have to go hard this time to beat them. I'll have to crush these guys, but I can't do it in here or else I'll destroy the train and kill the Straw Hats too. None of my attacks are subtle." Bluno shut the door he had opened to attack Sanji. "Where now?" He turned and saw Usopp drop. "No, it." He launched himself at the door and growled when he missed. "I wish I had more God Haration Kune. This guy would be dead if I had more." "Stop it." Robin yelled as Naruto looked around, preparing for Bluno to appear once more to try and put him down. "I'm not trying to run away. I don't want your help." "Help them," she said, pointing at the downed Sanji and Usopp. "Let me go. Please." She lowered her head. "Don't let them die like this." Naruto looked at her, not moving or searching for Bluno anymore. "You could never just leave Robin. When you joined Luffy's crew and when you wrote me that note, whether you know it or not, you became precious to us. And guys like us just don't let our precious people away when there's something we can do about it." He sighed deeply. "You should have some more faith in us." "It's no use," Bluno said, reappearing right by her. "Nico, Robin won't go back on this. In the past there was a buster call invoked by the Navy. It happened to a simple island. The whole thing was burned to a crisp, no trace at all was left. The only one to survive that incident was a young Nico Robin. The memories she got from such an experience are firmly planted in her and they cause her to turn on her comrades." He said as Robin walked over to him to leave with him. "Robin-chan," Naruto said, "I don't care." He motioned to the wounded Usopp and Sanji who were trying to get up. "They don't care. None of us care about that. I know about wanting to sacrifice yourself for others, but that doesn't work when the others you're trying to protect can protect themselves. Don't go with them." She didn't even turn around to look at Naruto as she walked through the portal made by Bluno. The large man looked at Naruto with an uncaring glance. "It's all for the sake of justice. That girl has our deepest condolences." Naruto simply glared at him. "You know, I'm glad this happened. I was looking for a reason to make a statement anyway. I think I'll start with you, and every single person that gets in my way at Eni's lobby when I take her back." His eyes furred red before setting back to blue. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and for twisting Robin-chan's mind and making her so scared she'd turn herself over to you, I'm going to destroy every last one of you. You'd better hope you don't see me again. Bluno found himself ensnared to stare into Naruto's eyes and felt as if he could see the future for a moment. Eni's lobby lying in ruins, MIV warships in broken pieces all through the ocean, destruction. However, he shook his head and the visions left him. Don't be ridiculous, he said as he left in his portal. Naruto stared hard at the now unassuming space where Bluno and Robin had left from before, turning to Usopp and Sanji, who were both still unable to stand. Are you two going to be alright? Sanji grit his teeth as he tried to stand and made it to his feet slowly with the help of the wall. I'll be fine. What are we going to do now? Naruto looked out of a window at the choppy seas and set his head against the unruined GL. We have to wait, Sanji, we have to wait. Sanji limped over to Usopp, who was starting to get up as well. What about Robin-chan? What about Frankie? Naruto turned towards him with his arms crossed. We'll just go and get them. It's simple. There's nothing big or flashy about this. We don't need a plan, we don't need anything. We're going to go get her, and nothing is going to stop us from doing it. With your crew and my crew, and I know they're coming with Luffy, there isn't a chance that we don't walk out of there with Robin-chan. He looked back out the window and saw a pair of MIV Yagura bulls pulling what looked like a house or something behind them. So just rest, because you aren't going to get a chance to in a moment. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.